So guys, in GMAT verbal, what we have in GMAT verbal, now there are just two topics. There are just two things that will be asked in the exam. One is critical reasoning. And the second is reading comprehension. So you have total of 23 questions over here. Total of 23 questions over here. And you will have 45 minutes time to it. Now, how the distribution is, you will 100% majority of you will end up getting 4 passages for sure. I can promise you that. Some of you, if you get 3 passes, it means your exams are not going good. So wish that you have 4 passes in the exam. You might get 3 questions per passes. You might get 1 or 2 in one passes, or 2 passes, 4 questions for sure. So you can expect there will be 100% 13 questions from RC for sure, or 14 questions from RC. And rest will be your critical reason. Sometime when you have 3 passages from reading comprehension, you might have 4 questions, and that comes to 12 questions from RC and 11 questions from CR. But again, critical reasoning as a section is very important, extremely important, I'll tell you. Very important. Why? Because questions that are asked in critical reasoning, and reading comprehensions are eventually the same thing. And you exactly get to understand how you approach such questions in critical reasoning very well, very, very well. So can some of you tell me the difference? Like what exactly is the GMAT? Now, end of the day, GMAT is completely trying to test on your analysis, on your comprehensive power. It has removed out the sentence correction from the exam. This was one daunting section, but according to me, it was one of my favorite section for sure, sentence correction. What happens in CR and RC, guys, that you cannot think of a dramatic change coming to you within 1 week and 2 weeks. There is a consistent practice that is required. And I'll be telling you very clearly how should you be practicing it. That's a very separate issue, but please ensure that you keep talking in CR class. If I ask you, what exactly you feel the difference between CR and RC? What exactly the basic difference before we get into the start of critical reasoning? And I think I have discussed with a lot of you, but let's have a proper discussion. What exactly you feel? What's the difference between critical reasoning and reading comprehension? Please, you can speak it out. Until you don't talk in verbal class, it won't happen. So you have to keep speaking in verbal class. Anyone tell me what is the difference that you can
Yeah,
find out between critical reasoning and RC?
yeah. I think the major difference that I have noticed is that in RC, the passage that is given is the whole universe and nothing out of it would be tested.
Mhm.
And in critical reasoning, you would have to apply knowledge from even outside the question stem more often than we would think. So,
Absolutely no. How can you apply your knowledge from outside, Akansha and CR?
Yeah, I
no,
You
beg to differ on
cannot.
that.
You cannot. Trust me, Akansha. What you said
no,
about RC is very well. But in CR, you cannot go even 0.01% outside the argument. But
not
yeah, please
outside.
tell.
I think, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Please
Sorry,
tell Akansha. No issues at
I
all.
was
Tell me,
just
Apurva.
I was just saying that probably CR for that matter tests you on concepts, right? Like which is assumptions or the different types of like concepts that you learn. It's more to do with okay, if for example, assumptions, if it's like that unsaid piece that you are factoring into. It's more like reasoning to if X is happening and the result is Y, why do you think that middle ground is happening? So
That is one type of a question you can say is a conditional reasoning.
right.
But you can't define based on that what critical reasoning is. Simple normal definition. Like I just wanna understand a very normal definition that all of you can connect with. There's 100% a
I
humongous difference between critical reasoning and reading comprehension. Please speak it up, please.
So if like I think the major difference is in RC, like in CR, we need to think logically, and in RC, what is written, either it is making logic or not, we have to accept it. But in CR, it is already assuming that we should think logically
No,
for
here
the
also you should
argument.
think logically for your kind information, Palak.
Rahul, I
100% you
think
will have to think logically. Yeah.
CRs are subset of RCs.
No.
That's
Absolutely no.
Maybe in RC you will try to comprehend the information, while in CR you will try to evaluate the information.
What do you mean by evaluate the information? The beauty about when I ask you to speak in verbal is that you should speak so that I get to understand what words you are using, because CR is a lot. You have to play around with her words a lot, and we'll get to know all these things slowly and gradually. And that's the reason I'm telling you, please speak it up. It does not matter what you speak, but speak it up. So let's say, who said evaluate the information? I think Cyclian, right? What do
Yeah.
you exactly mean by that evaluate? Evaluate is
Uh,
like one question that is asked in critical reasoning. So what do you mean by evaluate? The if a passage in CR that is called as an argument, I'll come down to it. If it's written very properly, very beautifully settled way it is written to you, then tell me what do you mean by evaluate? Evaluate, what is the meaning of evaluate, Sai?
So you're just checking if the argument given is right or wrong or like that.
No, argument, whatever is given is 100% right. You are not supposed to doubt the argument at all.
Can I answer by being evaluate means that you are or we already have a conclusion and evaluating the conclusion and checking their supporting
I'm just asking you, Bhumika, what is
statement.
the meaning of evaluate? That's it. Not, it doesn't matter with CR. Evaluate means plus and minus, right? So let's say if you have to evaluate me as a teacher, you can't evaluate me as a teacher just because I teach you a CR in a very nice way, so I'm a good teacher. No. If you have to evaluate any individual for that sake in the life, you have to know what are the pros, what are the cons, what are the pluses of it, what are the minuses of it. You can never evaluate a person saying that, Rahul, this guy is studying in Harvard, so he's supposed to be a classy guy. No, he might be the most characterless guy. So evaluate. So that's the reason I'm telling you, please keep speaking so that I'll be extremely clear. I'll make it very clear what exactly it is. So evaluate as a word used here, Shai, will not be right, because evaluating the argument means what? The argument that is given to you should be 100% considered true to you. You cannot challenge the argument for sure. I'll come to all those points. What do I mean by argument? What do I mean by passes? But any other answer, or we should go ahead and discuss it now. So please,
So
please tell me.
in CR, generally, we are the passages known as arguments, like you said, and we have to derive a
I'm not
conclusion.
asking you to define the CR, Sanskriti. I'm so sorry. But should I explain now? See here. First of all, in CR, there is a small passage given to you. I'll come down to it very properly. And if you are not satisfied with my answer, you are supposed to fight with me, because in verbal, if you don't discuss with me, it's gone case. You are not supposed to sit silent for sure. Be 100% sure about it, because this is a place, if you sit silent, none of us would get anything out of it. Please argue with me, no issues at all. So in CR, there is a small passage given to you. This is called as an argument. What is an argument? I'll come down to it. We don't call CR passage as a passage. Please ensure, do not ever call it. Call it as an argument. I'll come down to it. In RC, what happens? There's a big passage given to you. There's a long passage given to you. And this is called as an RC passage. So the difference, what exactly between CR and RC is, guys, please understand here. I think I've explained to some of you. While you are marking the answer in critical reasoning, while you are marking your answer in CR, you are essentially trying to respond to the information. You are essentially trying to respond to the information that's given to you in the argument. Respond to information given to you in the argument. Argument means passes, small passes. What you are doing in critical reasoning, that when you mark the answer, you are essentially trying to respond to the information that is given to you in the argument. What happens in RC, that while you mark the answer in reading comprehension, while you mark your answer in RC, you are trying to accept the information from the passage. You are trying to accept the info from passage. So what exactly this means? You know what? Critical reasoning. So critical reasoning as a topic, from the day GMAT has come into picture, It is supposed to be one of the trickiest topic, but trust me, if you study in the way you are expected to study critical reasoning, it will be the most entertaining thing you can ever come across your life. Do not get frustrated at all. You are not absolutely supposed to be frustrated that you have got a wrong answer. We'll come down to all those points. Now, what exactly I mean by this, that while you are marking the answer in critical reasoning, you are essentially trying to respond to the information that is given to you in the argument. What do you mean by this? A lot of time it happens that when you read the small passage or the argument, you should be telling it as an argument, not a passage for sure. I'll come down to all these things. So while you are, a lot of time it happens that you will have a very classy clarity of the argument. You will understand argument very well, very beautifully. And despite that, you might end up marking a wrong answer. Why? Because your response can be completely haywire, completely. You can respond in any. So what critical reasoning says that they have given a situation to you. There's a evidence, there's a situation that is presented front of you. Now imagine a situation that I give you, that road front of your home, the road front of your home is not good from last 2 years. Now this entire thing has made you very angry. You went and tweeted to Prime Minister Modi, PM, that PM Modi is responsible for it, or federal or central government is responsible for it, or state government is responsible for it. Do you really feel that this response will make any sense? Do you really feel this response is enough to solve your problem? Tell me
No.
this.
No.
Why? Because you are going completely beyond the scope of an argument. You have to be very much within the scope of argument to ensure that you give the best solution out of it. This is what critical reasoning teaches you. Critical reasoning says that there is a situation that has been presented front of you. Now, being very much within that situation, you have to give the best possible answer that you can make it out of it. So here the solution is that you go and complain to municipality. If they are not working, you escalate the problem. But just by saying that CM of Karnataka or CM of Delhi or Prime Minister Modi, central government, state government is responsible, your problem is not going to be solved for sure. And this answer would be a wrong answer. But the point is, imagine some of your friend who is a completely left guy, completely left winger, completely left. According to him, he will tell you, you have done a very right thing, Apurva. This is what you should be doing. If you won't do this, what will you do? So point is, there is nothing called right or wrong answer in critical reasoning. There are 3 options out of 5 options. 3 options can easily be eliminated. No issues at all. But please understand, the reason critical reasoning gets tough, why? Because while you are marking the answer, you are trying to respond to the information that is given to you in the argument. You might have a very beautiful understanding of the argument or the small passage that is given to you. And despite that, you might end up choosing a wrong answer. Why? Because you may go very beyond the scope of an argument to give a solution to the argument. It's as simple as it is, to give a solution to that situation. There's no other thing that's required over there. Am I right? Anyone, any doubt here? Please ask me. Please keep the class very open. If you don't speak, it will be a problem. What
Rahul,
happens? Yeah.
regarding this, we generally accept the information given in the argument, right? But
You don't accept in critical
Mhm.
reasoning. You are trying to respond.
Yeah.
Acceptance is
Okay.
in the RC passage. So when you are doing RC passage, when you are marking the answer from RC passage, you are trying to accept the entire information. So in RC passage, so there are 2 types of a question that can be asked in RC passage, according to me. One is your primary purpose, and the second is your inference type of a question. Rest all the questions, I considered it in inference type of a question. Inference means what? You cannot infer anything until you have a clear understanding of what the information is given to you. Imagine, I'll tell you the difference between inference and assumptions, and that's the reason I'm saying keep speaking. Imagine if I ask you simple, that you started preparing for GMAT from Jan 2024. How do you infer this particular statement? What is the inference that you can draw from this particular statement? Please tell me. You started preparing for GMAT from January 2024. And if I'm trying to say what exactly is the inference to, if I'm just asking, what can you infer from this statement? Infer means what is your understanding from this particular statement? Now let's come in terms of technical understanding to it. Tell me your answers, please. You started preparing for GMAT from January 2024. If I have discussed with some of you, don't speak. If I have not discussed, you are free to tell me what is the, how can you infer to this statement?
I have not written. Go ahead, please.
Tell me, no issues.
That I've been studying for the past 4 months.
You have been studying for the past 4 months. Okay. Anyone else?
I've not
That you're
written
going
GMAT
to-
before Jan 2024.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm planning to apply for grad schools.
Anyone else?
That's
Anyone? Mikhail?
Okay.
Ria? Please speak it up. Kajal? Keshav? Palak? Speak it up.
Yeah, exactly the same. Like since last 4 months, I've been preparing for GMAT.
Anyone else? Please speak. So guys, the inference to this statement is that you have never prepared for GMAT before January 2024. There is no, all other inference is wrong. You have never prepared for GMAT. You have never prepared for GMAT. You have never prepared for GMAT.
Rahul, in
Before-
that case, I've not, I mean, the person has not written GMAT before Jan 2024 is also wrong.
So you have not prepared only, then how can you write GMAT? But the inference to this particular statement, so please ensure. So when you when you try and infer something, always try to infer something from the action place. Do
Yeah,
not infer it logically. Do not infer it literature wise. You saying that you have been preparing GMAT for 4 months. You might be saying that I want to get 99th percentile, let's say 780, 719 GMAT. You may tell me, Rahul, I'll take 6 months to prepare, but there's no end to it. There's no end to it. So that is not the inference at all. Inference is simple. You started preparing for GMAT from January. You started. So started is the action over here. It's simple means this statement simple means in terms of logical inference or technical inference that you have never prepared for GMAT before January 2024. There is no other inference that you can draw from this statement. Rest everything is wrong.
Yeah, I think writing GMAT, that kind of an inference would be like an out of scope kind of a statement, basically.
100%, absolutely out of scope. So in inference question, if you do 0.01% deviate from the, if you deviate even 0.01% from the information that has been given to you, you will end up getting a wrong answer for sure. So we'll cover in critical reasoning all these things, inference, how to infer. The reason we are starting with critical reasoning is once you are good in CR, once you are good in attempting the questions of CR, RC by default to a lot extent will be taken care of. Because in CR, you have to think a lot to mark your answer. In RC, what happens? That if you read the passage, if you understand the passage well, there, let the passage be 3 paragraph, 4 paragraph, that doesn't matter. But if your understanding is good, if not at all, let's say not the complete understanding, but if you have understanding of the structure of the passage, that itself is more than sufficient to ensure that you will be doing good in RC. You don't have to go ahead and understand line by line, but even the structure is clear to you, it will be more than enough. But that's not valid for CR. A lot of time it will happen that you will have a very beautiful understanding of the argument. And despite that, you might end up getting a wrong answer for sure. There is an absolutely no ambiguity over there. Am I right?
Hey Rahul, I have a quick
Yeah.
question
Please tell
on
me.
that you just said for that example that we used.
Hmm.
So from what I understood, like the answer that you gave, the correct inference to that statement is
Right.
actually like it's a fact, and every other guess that we had was kind of dynamic in nature in terms of,
Right,
let's say,
right,
timeline that like
right.
4
The
months or
point is you can 100% debate with me, ki Rahul, when you are saying that he started preparing for GMAT from Jan 2024, he might have also prepared in Jan 2020. He failed it. Then again, he started in 2024. So how do we say that he never prepared for GMAT from January 2024? Please understand, while you're trying to infer something, you're not supposed to be emotional at all. The statement is written that Rahul started preparing for GMAT from Jan 2024. You don't know, and you have to infer this statement considering you have no idea about Rahul in your life at all. This is the first thing that you know about Rahul. It might happen when I say Sakshi, that Sakshi started preparing for GMAT from January 2024. And when I refer this statement, she has never prepared for GMAT before 2024. It might happen that your friend may come and say, no, Rahul, it is wrong. She has prepared for GMAT in January 2020 also. But those things, those emotional answers cannot be a validity, cannot have any validations at all. You have to ensure whatever statement is written in front of you, according to you, this statement is 1000% true. You're not supposed to challenge this statement. And based on that, you have to draw your inference. So in RC, what happens? There are two types of a question I told you. Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, Rahul, like someone said that it's been 4 months that I'm preparing for
Hmm.
like after this, right? So
Right,
how come
right.
this like
No, but if you
statement is
tell me ki
wrong?
you were preparing for 4 months, you can also tell ki I've been preparing for 3 months and gave the exam in 3 months only.
Yeah,
There is
sure.
a
Yeah.
lot of things that can be drawn out, right?
Yeah, you're spot. Yeah.
So those things are out of a scope answer. You are not trying to play around with the statement that has been presented in front of you. You are trying to have your own thought process over there. And in CR, having your own thought process is the most blunder thing that you will be ever committing in your life.
So Rahul, so we can understand this like it can be inference can be something like which is not given. Like
No, we'll come
someone has
down to
said
that,
that
Vinay. We'll come down to that for sure. Don't worry
no,
at all.
like
There is an inference topic only that we'll be doing. I'm just for normal purpose, just I told you ki in RC passage, there are two type of a question asked. One is primary purpose and one is inference. All I'm trying to say, you can never ever mark the right answer of inference till you have a good understanding of the passage, because information should be well understood for you to infer what should be inferred from that particular information. So that's the reason I said you that while you are marking answer in reading comprehension, you need to accept the information from the passage. And if acceptance is not clear, it will be a problem. So there are two types of questions in RC: primary purpose, inference. And for inference, you need to understand the information for sure. But we'll come down to this latter part. Let's start with CR. But you have any problem in the clarity between what CR and RC is, please ask that. Don't ask about inference. I'll have a very separate class for inference. Tell me.
No, Rahul, no questions.
All clear? So should we?
CR is response to the passage and RC is
Acceptance of the passage, acceptance of the
acceptance.
information.
Okay.
CR is you are responding to the information that is given to you. Response can be completely haywire if you don't understand what needs to be done. So in CR class, what we'll do is that we'll try and understand how should we solve a critical reasoning questions. And guys, please don't worry. A lot of us may be a lot of us may be a non-reader, a lot of us. But you are not supposed to be bothered about it, because see, nothing in literature, nothing can dynamically change, nothing can dramatically change for sure. You cannot say, Ki, Rahul, I've understood assumptions very well. Let's say this is one topic. I've understood assumptions very well. So next week, I should be doing all the assumptions questions right. These things doesn't happen in verbal part. In maths, 100%, you can say, Ki, Rahul, I was not good with the percentage and ratio concept. Now I've understood it well. I have been solving all the questions, working very fine for me. In verbal part, these things will not happen. So don't have any unrealistic goals and all. You have to go very slow. It will improve slowly and you will not realize how your verbal is improving. But moment you try and be conscious, Rahul, this week I have done this, next week my next week work should be much more efficient than the previous week work. Don't look into that part at all. I'll make it very clear how should you be doing, what you should be doing, and you should be following that for sure. I promise it will not be a problem. That's a promise from my side. My CR is very good and I can teach you brilliantly CR. So let's come down to critical reasoning. Let's start critical reasoning. Anyone, any doubt here? Perfect. So let's start critical reasoning now. Well, in verbal, a lot of bhashan needs to be given, dude. I can't help it out. So what happens in critical reasoning, guys, that there is a small passage that is given to you in the question. Now, this small passage is nothing but a situation that has been presented front of you. Situation presented by author. Is a situation that has been presented by author front of you. And how do you present a situation? So this entire small passage is called as an argument. So from now onward, don't speak it as a passage and all. Always call it an argument. And what do argument consist of? Argument consists of facts and conclusion. Please ensure. Argument consists of facts and conclusion. Now I'm telling you a situation is presented front of you by author. What do you mean? How do you relate with the facts and conclusion? Please keep speaking it up. So please understand, guys, whenever you present a situation, like in your real life also, whenever you try and present a situation, you 100% try and back your situation. You 100% try and back your say. Situation is what? So imagine, I'm trying to say you, India will become a developed nation. India will become a developed nation by 2050, let's say. Do you think India will become? So first of all, whenever you are talking anything in the future, there is always an uncertainty. This is called conclusive. This is like a message that I want to deliver to you. that India will become a developed nation by 2050. So to deliver this message, what do you feel? Don't you feel that I should supply a lot of fact, or I can simply come and tell front of you,
Yes.
Sakshi, India would become a developed nation by 2050, or Vijay, India will become a developed, like you will slap me. You will straight away slap me. What the hell you mean by this? So before you present a situation, there are lots of facts that needs to be taken into consideration. You have to present a lot of facts. So please understand, in a critical reasoning, an argument consists of facts and it consists of conclusion. Conclusions are what? Conclusions are the main say of author. 1 second. Conclusions are the main say of author. You can say main say, or you can say main masses that author is trying to give it to you. Main masses of the author. Author is trying to say that India would become a developed nation by 2050. Now, how do authors say that? Now, to give the main, to give the main conclusion means to give the main masses that author is trying to deliver you these messages. Author considers a lot of facts over here. Lot of facts. Author will present a lot of facts to you, and based on this fact, author will say his own opinion that Rahul is a good guy. He's a maths Olympiad topper. He is a AI expert. He is this, he is that. And that's the reason I feel that Rahul might qualify for Harvard Business School. So he has given a lot of facts over here that Rahul is a good guy. Rahul is a good guy. He is a maths Olympiad topper. He is a gold medalist. He's a university topper. And that's the reason I feel that he would get into Harvard. He would get in Harvard. So author wanted to present a message to you that Rahul would get into Harvard. But on what basis author wanted to present this message to you? Or author has given a lot of facts to you. Rahul is a good guy. He's a maths Olympiad topper. He's a gold medalist. He's a university topper. He is an AI expert. So I feel that he might get into Harvard or Stanford whatsoever. So author is trying to present a message to you. And how does author present a message to you? Based on the facts that author is stated in front of you. So please understand, an argument consists of facts and conclusion both. If you say Rahul is a good guy, he's a maths Olympiad topper, he's a gold medalist, this is not an argument. If there is a CR argument that is written to you, it means that it will contain facts and conclusion both. Conclusion is nothing but the main say of author, main message of author. Don't get confused at all. And facts are nothing but premise that you might have studied in the book that I have told you. So before we get into anything, what is the difference between facts and conclusion, anyone? Facts means premise. Facts is nothing but premise and conclusion. What is the difference between facts and conclusion, any one of you?
Premise supports the conclusion.
Premise supports the conclusion. So that is Kritika role of the premise and a fact. I'm asking difference between premise and conclusion. I'm asking difference between facts and conclusion.
Facts can never be changed. Like
facts can never be challenged. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Facts are universal in nature.
Premise is universal in nature. Okay.
No.
Anyone else?
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
Premise will be usually presented in the passage and conclusion has to be derived by us.
No, conclusion will also be presented in the passage. Because argument, if an argument means facts and conclusion, both will be presented to you in the passage. So what do you feel? Please pick it up. If you don't speak, don't be silent in CR class, guys, please, for God's sake.
Facts are independent.
Facts are independent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conclusion would be kind of the author's opinion or takeaway or what they base
that author wants to say.
Like, yeah, author wants to say on basis of facts which are like the complete truth universally.
Correct.
Premise cannot be challenged and conclusion can be challenged.
That's the best thing. Please understand, facts can never be challenged, guys. Facts can never ever be challenged. What do you mean by this? I'll explain it to you. But if you don't speak, don't abuse me later. Facts can never be challenged. Facts can never. Facts means what? That now let's say if you have got 99 score in out of 100 in the maths exam of class 10th and 12th, that is a fact. Something that has happened is a fact. Now sun rises in the east. Do you think it can be challenged? No. What will you challenge? You cannot challenge with the fact at all. You just can't challenge. This is something which has already happened. But conclusions are always challenged. Always challenged. Now imagine when I say you that Rahul is a good guy. Let's say this is a fact. Let's say this is a factual information given to you in the argument. He's a maths Olympiad topper. You can't challenge on this, right? He's a maths Olympiad topper. He has a certificate to show you. What will you challenge on that? He's a gold medalist. Now he's a gold medalist. He has that gold medal to show you. You can't challenge on that. He's a university topper. You can't challenge on that because its name is presented ever that Rahul is a university topper of this. Now, based on this fact, author has derived conclusion what? That I feel that he would get into Harvard. Now, this is something that can be 100% challenge. You can tell ki how do you feel that he can get into Harvard? There are like 1 lakh universities present in the world. So like Rahul, there are 1 lakh toppers of 1 lakh universities present in the world. How can you be so sure that Rahul will get into Harvard? It might be, but the conclusions are something which can always and always be challenged. So remember, in critical reasoning, facts are something which can never be challenged. Facts, not in critical reasoning, in your normal life also, you can't challenge fact. If you know that your score is 760 in GMAT, what will you challenge over here? Who will challenge it? Think about it, no? So facts are something which has already happened, remember. Already happened. What are conclusion? Which you feel, your feeling. So there's a lot of ways to go ahead and define conclusion. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to go that far, but I'll just tell you conclusions are what? Conclusions are something always debatable. Always debatable. Something where the talks, it's a feeling based. Conclusions are feeling based, that I feel that Rahul would get into Harvard. It's our future based also. Anything that you like, India would become a developed or India will become a developed. So it's a future based as well. So conclusions are broadly defined in two things, your feelings and future based, because something that has not happened can only be the opinion of yours. Something which has happened is a fact. If India has grown at 7% in 2013 to 14 quarter years, whatever it is, so this cannot be challenged because it's an Indian government figure that India has grown by 7.4%, the GDP of India. But based on this, if I make a situation that 2014 to 2019 government has done this, 2014 to 2023 government has done this, 23 to 24 the GDP growth of India has been astounding. So based on all these things, I feel that GDP of India will grow by 9% in 2024 to 2025 years. Now, when I say this, you can 100% come back on me. Okay, Rahul, how do you say this? Just because 2 years India has done well, it doesn't mean that India will do. So always understand, conclusions are something is feeling based and future based. Something that has not happened can be a conclusion. Something that has already happened is a fact. Am I being very clear? Yes or no?
Rahul, is it necessary that it will be future based? What if we say
the point is
GDP has grown? What if we say GDP has grown and thus India is at the number 2 position right now?
Number 2 position right now. So this is a fact. This is a fact.
Okay.
Right. All I'm trying to say is based on this situation, Dipan, you will go and predict what will happen in 24 and 25. So that whatever you are predicting, however accurate you are predicting it, but it can always be challenged now. Because that has not happened. So I can 100% challenge you on what basis you are trying to say. You will give me 10 points. I'll give you 20 points. No. Right now in 2023, 2024, India has grown a lot, but there are lots of distractions that have happened over here. So these are whole way to challenge it, right? Dipan, is this clear?
Yeah, all right.
So now come down to argument. So let's say this is a critical reasoning argument given to you. Argument simple means there is a fact which is mentioned. There is a conclusion that is mentioned over here. Conclusions are something the main say of author. I've told you very clearly that facts is something that cannot be challenged. Conclusions are something that can be challenged, that can be evaluated, you can give your own assumptions on the conclusion. I'll come down to all those things. So role of fact in the argument is what? What is role of fact in the argument? What do you mean by role of fact? To support the conclusion, there is no any other role of fact.
In an argument is that after giving the conclusion, there should be a fact to support it.
Absolutely. So role of fact is nothing but simple, normal saying to support the conclusion. That's all. There's no other role of fact at all in the argument. The role of fact is as simple as to support the conclusion. That's it. You don't have to think about anything else at all. And conclusions are what? Final say of author, because author is trying to present a situation in front of you. Author is trying to present a scenario in front of you. How is author trying to present that scenario? By giving facts over there. Am I right? So please understand in critical reasoning, now let's come down to the hardcore critical reasoning. Whatever we are doing is all the philosophies right now, but it should be understood to you, or else, because I want that you understand critical reasoning, it should be very ingrained in your brain that how should you be thinking about it. And these are the things that should be known to you. So in CR now, based on the argument, now this is the argument that has been presented in front of you. Now, before we get into the types of a question, please understand whatever argument is presented to you, you have to think it 100% true. So this is a place, if you are a big reader, if you're an avid reader, a lot of time you try and start contradicting with the information that has been given to you, but you are not supposed to do that. Whatever argument is presented to you, it is 100% true. If it is written in the argument, sun rises in the west, you have to ensure that you will mark your answer based on the information that has been given to you, argument ki sun rises in the west. You are not supposed to challenge it at all. So in any critical reasoning question you solve, never ever challenge the fact. Never ever challenge the fact. All these things will not be understood to you now till we do the questions, and I'll do some questions today itself so that you understand all these things very well. Never ever challenge the fact. Never ever. And that's the reason it is said ki consider the argument as 100% true. Based on this argument, you are supposed to go and mark your answer. Do not bring your extra knowledge into the argument at all. If it is written sun rises in the west, for that particular argument, you have to consider ki sun rises in the west. So never ever try and challenge the critical reasoning argument. So never challenge the critical reasoning argument. Simple means ki never challenge the fact. If you're trying to challenge the fact or never support the fact, imagine. This is a very contradictory statement, but I'll tell you what it is. Never support the fact. Because moment you are trying to support the fact. So when I say Rahul is a good guy, he's a university topper, he's a gold medalist, and that's the reason he would get into Harvard. Now you can't, and if the question is asking strengthen this particular argument, so you can't bring some outside fact and strengthen. You can't say ki Rahul is a artificial intelligent AI expert. This will be a wrong answer. So please understand, never, you are not supposed to support the fact. You are not supposed to challenge the fact. Whatever fact is given to you in the argument should and must be respected. But these are the statements that you will only understand when we do some questions. And I'll come down to it. I'll 100% come down to it today itself. So all I want to say you, an argument is presented in front of you. This argument should be considered 100% true. Now, based on this consideration, there are different types of a question that can be asked in critical reasoning. Different types of questions can be asked in CR. So what are those types? Come down to first. Let's say the first is assumptions. Don't go mad about it. It's a very fun topic, and I'll tell you very clearly how should you be doing it, because every information if I give you now, you will go mad. Assumptions. Second is evaluate. So Athar, we were telling evaluate the argument. Evaluate is a type of a question, Athar. See here. Third is strengthen. Fourth is weaken. Fifth is flaw. Sixth would be passage completion. Seventh would be your paradox. Eighth would be boldface. And then in the last, we'll discuss inference, because inference questions of CR and inference questions of RC are exactly the same. Inference is the most important topic of your verbal right now, remember. Most important topic. You have to understand this very well. So we'll do it at the last. So in all these are the types of a question, but there is something called conditional reasoning. So conditional reasonings are never asked independently. It could be asked in form of inference. It could be asked in form of assumptions. It could be asked in form of a weaken. So please understand, guys, these are broadly the type of a question that will come in the exam. In critical reasoning, you can never say me, Rahul, you know what? I feel evaluate very tough, and I feel boldface easy, or I feel weekend tough. I feel passage completion easy. No, in CR, toughness are not through the topics. Rahul, I feel assumptions tough or evaluate tough. Even a strengthened question can be extremely tough presented in front of you, and you will have no idea at all. So don't get into all these sorts of a mindset. My assumptions and evaluate are very good, and others I can take care. No, you have to be good at all. And in critical reasoning, the toughness cannot be based on the type of a question coming to you. In strengthened question, they can trap you in a way that you will not realize it at all. So don't have any such sort of a mindset. And this is extremely important based on my experience. I'm telling you, if you get into all these thought process, ki Rahul, assumptions is very easy to me. Evaluate is very easy to me, but boldface is tough for me. If you get into all these thoughts, it's all gone, guys, because these are the mindset that people slowly and gradually develop. You know what, Rahul, I'm very good in assumptions and evaluate, but I suffer in boldface. No. Questions of assumptions, the twisted questions of assumptions can make you mad in assumptions itself. So a toughness in CR is not decided by the type of a question that is being asked for. And all these questions will be doing very separately. All the questions will be discussing very separately. I'll tell you. 1 second. Because it's a very entertaining topic. Just do what I'm asking you to do. You don't have to do anything else. And then the discussions will be very fine. I know a lot of you might have not read today before coming to the class, but from next week, please read it. It will be the most interesting thing that you are ever doing in your life. I can promise you. And being good in CR, it's not me who's telling guys. It's not me. The biggest neuro marketer of Stanford University has made a statement that if you are not good in CR, you can never be a good decision taker in your life. You can never possess the good managerial skills in your life. It is not my statement. You can go poets and quants and see it for yourself. The biggest his name is Rama something. He's an Indian guy actually, but he's in Stanford neuro. It's a huge guy. Neuro marketing in Stanford. He is the professor over there. He has very clearly said that. And you leave him. I have met with so many students who has been to the colleges and all, and they come back and tell me, Rahul, you have no idea how important critical reasoning is in consulting stuff and all. Because it will dramatically change your thought process completely. So guys, what we have done, CR argument, these are the types of a question that is discussed in the CR argument. I personally want that if we will do assumptions and evaluate, we will do every topic in a very detailed way, but you have to be really good in assumptions and evaluate, because these topics, if you suffer, I can promise your entire CR will suffer. Your entire CR will suffer. You cannot afford to be bad in assumptions and evaluate, and will go very slow. I promise you will go very slow. I'll ensure that every question is well fun for you. So any questions till now, or should we start assumptions right now? Because I've told you basic of CR. CR consists of, argument consists of facts and conclusion. There are a lot of things that I need to tell you in the argument, but if I tell you all at once, you will go mad. So let's discuss with the questions. Let's discuss topic wise topic. I'll make everything very clear. Anyone, any problem till now? Please tell me.
So what's the source of the questions that you're planning to teach us
OG. Official guide in critical reasoning and reading comprehension. So I have taken some very beautiful questions from, let's say, GMAT club as well. But 80% of what we are discussing is OZ. But I can't come and discuss all the OG questions by myself now, because end of the day, it's you who need to use your head over there, right? It's not me at all.
Yeah.
So but please ensure, guys, official guide is something till I don't ask you to touch, you should not touch it at all. Absolutely. If you do anything by yourself, I'm not responsible. Be very sure about it, because official guide questions are classy questions. So GMAT verbal is nothing but replica of official guide. But remember, if you simply go and solve official guide because in official guide, there is nothing called theory that is given to you over there. There's a question. That's all. There will be CR question, there will be RC question. And if you simply go and attempt the questions of CR, you are screwed up royally, because you will cry later that, Rahul, I don't have CR questions to solve. The worst part about critical reasoning question is that once you do some questions properly, you will remember the answer for next 2 years. I'm telling you. And if you know the answers and you're solving questions of CR, that is all crap. That is 100% crap. So I will tell you when you have to do OG. When I personally feel that now you are good at it, only then I'll ask you to go and do OG. Or else if you simply go and do official guide, you will be wasting questions. You will not be doing anything good for yourself. I can be 100% sure about it. So please, nice Akanksha that you asked me OG, but please ensure do not touch OG till I ask you to. If you don't listen to me, it's all your problem. Then don't come to me later and say all these things. Any problem till now, or should we go and start one topic called assumptions right now? It will be very entertaining topic, because whatever I have told you, it's all philosophical thing, but it should be understood to you, or else it makes no sense at all. Guys, any problem till now, or should we start the topic wise stuff? Should we start assumptions?
Start.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
It's a very
Yeah, we
beautiful
can
topic,
start.
and now please ensure that you start speaking, man. Tell me, what do you mean by assumptions? Because now it's all for you to answer. What is the meaning of assumptions? Anybody? Now I think you might have read a bit also for sure. So tell me, what is the meaning of assumptions?
Assuming a statement or a fact. Like
Assuming
right
is
now, what we're doing is also assuming, what you're asking.
assuming a statement or a fact. It's a very diplomatic answer, Sakshi, but I won't consider it the right answer for sure.
Okay, all right.
It's a fact outside the
Something,
purview of the argument.
It's a
something,
fact outside the purview of the argument. Okay, to some extent, right? It's
something
a
which
very
is taken for granted in the argument.
something that is taken for granted in the argument. Okay. Anyone else?
Something that is a hypothesis. It can be proved, it cannot be proved. You have to
What do you
evaluate
mean?
that.
Now that's a beautiful thing. That's the reason I keep saying that, keep speaking, because until you don't speak, I will not understand what you are trying to say. What do you mean by hypothesis? Who said hypothesis?
I said it.
Can you please tell me what is the meaning of hypothesis, if you don't mind? I'm not trying to ask. I'm just simply trying to say, what is the meaning of hypothesis, Sakshi?
That's
I
theory.
said it.
Okay, okay. So,
Yeah.
Kajal, tell me, what is the meaning of hypothesis?
You give a statement to be checked whether it's true or not.
No. I'm normal meaning of hypothesis I'm asking. Anyone please tell. Because this is a
theory,
beautiful
right?
thing.
Like
Until you
you're-
people don't tell, I won't understand at all. Yeah. What's the answer? Hypothesis?
I'm
Hypothesis.
saying that like it's probably like you're it's like a theory or like a supposed it's your explanation of sort, right? Like
If I ask you to
you're
simply confine it in based on the facts, or let's say if I ask you hypothesis is a fact or a conclusion, what do you think about it?
It's a fact. And then you try to either like prove it or disprove it.
It's a
but a
fact.
fact,
It means
but
hypothesis. You're
isn't a
trying to say,
fact,
Sakshi,
But
that
if it's
hypothesis is
a
a fact.
fact,
no, isn't that like basis what you've told us so far, a fact is you can't challenge a fact, right? So an assumption
Absolutely.
is
So that's
like
what I'm asking, Sakshi. How is
unsaid.
hypothesis a fact?
Right. I meant
It's an
like it's a
assumption.
statement and then you're trying to challenge it.
So normal meaning of hypothesis is something that is believed but never proved.
Or a possible explanation towards them.
Yeah, it's something that's believed on, but you have never proved it. Now you believe on God, you go and worship in the God, the very, very beautiful stuff. But you never know God existed or not. But none of us have seen it. So hypothesis is something that is
It-
believed to be, but it has never been proved, so it cannot be a fact. It is a conclusion for sure. So assumptions how did you infer the word hypothesis, Palak? That was wrong. So assumption simple means, guys, it a hidden fact. That's it. Assumptions is nothing but a hidden facts, and I'll prove everything. Now, when I say you assumptions is a hidden fact, it means what do
Rahul?
you? Yeah.
Yeah, can we say that assumptions are subjective in nature? Like, it can vary from person to person.
No, it cannot vary at all. It should never vary. It's based on the argument that is given to you, Atharv. All of us should technically try and have only one assumptions. That's it. Matlab, it might vary based on the thought process, but what an assumption is, the logic should remain same. So assumption, I'll come down to your question, Athar, for sure when we get into details of it, because I'll ask you to assume something. So assumption simple means, guys, hidden fact. And what is the rule of a fact?
It should be
What
100.
is rule
I
of
mean,
a
it
fact
should
in the
always be
argument?
true.
Support the conclusion.
Can be never questioned.
No, I'm asking you rule of the fact. I'm not asking what is fact. The rule of the
Support the
fact is to
conclusion.
always support the conclusion.
support conclusion.
For the conclusion.
Support the conclusion, right? If I say you, now can I say you ki assumptions always supports the conclusion? Yes or no? Because I've told you
Yes.
assumptions means hidden fact. And the rule of a fact in the argument is what I'm trying to relate very properly, the way I'm going. So rule of fact is what? To support the conclusion. When I say you ki assumptions is a hidden fact, the rule of an assumption is also to support the conclusion. Story starts here, story finishes over here. There is no other explanation to assumptions at all. I can challenge you. I can promise it to you. The assumptions means nothing but trying to support a conclusion. That's all. But how do we solve assumption questions? We'll come down to it. But the normal logic of assumptions is what? Hidden fact. And what do you mean by hidden fact? What exactly meaning of this? It means something that is not stated in the argument. Guys, it will get a bit messy, but I'm so sorry. Or else if I teach you properly everything line by line, it will be very dull class, I'm telling you. So it gets a bit messy, but please bear with me. So assumptions means hidden fact. Hidden means what? Something that's not stated in the argument. Something that's not stated in argument. Because if it is stated in the argument, it will be a fact. It will not be an assumptions at all. So please understand, imagine when I say you, everyone above 18 years can vote. So Bhumika can vote, let's say. Now, this is a brilliant example at this point. I think all of you are voting, man. So Bhumika can vote. So what is an assumptions over here?
She's above 18 years.
That Bhumika is 18 years old.
Above 18 years.
Above.
Yeah.
Bhumika is above 18 years, let's say. Do you think this is something that is by default understood to you, or do you think it should be written to you in the argument? Think about it. Something that can be taken for granted, because without these assumptions, if you understand, this argument is not valid at all. When I make an argument that everyone above 18 years can vote, so Bhumika can vote, don't you feel by default I have assumed that Bhumika is above 18 years?
Yeah.
Right? So this is what an assumption is. Everything need not be written to you in the argument. There are something which should be considered by default. And that is nothing but an assumption in front of you. So assumptions are something, you can also say it's a backbone of an argument. Backbone of argument. So when I say you, it's a whatever I say, the simple logic is assumptions are something in a critical reasoning straightforward language that it always and always and always supports the conclusion. That's it. There's no other way around it. There is no other way around about assumptions at all. Assumptions always supports the conclusion, because assumptions are the backbone. If I say every year everyone above 18 years can vote, so Bhumika can vote, it is by default I'm trying to assume in my head that Bhumika is above 18 years. The story starts there, story finishes over there. And this need not be written to you in the argument. This should be a default assumption that you should take for yourself. And this is how the assumptions comes into picture. This is what an assumption is. A lot of time you read everything very well. You understand everything, what is expected from you to understand. But you just don't know these are the assumptions that you are considering in your head. It by default keeps going in your head. And in CR, critical reasoning, you have to bring that consideration into the pen and paper. That's all. So imagine if I say Rahul is a good guy. Rahul is good guy. It's a very vague argument for your information. But again, argument may be extremely vague. It may be extremely good. If it is given to you in critical reasoning, you should not challenge it. You should consider that as a true. So Rahul is a good guy. And that's why he would get into Harvard. He would get into Harvard. So Rahul is a good guy is a fact. And that's why he would get into Harvard is a conclusion. So this is an argument that is presented in front of you. Now, when you read this argument, your mind will start telling you, what the hell? What is this? How the hell you can make such stupid argument that he is a good guy and he would get into Harvard? But again, however hell it looks, it doesn't matter at all. If it is presented to you in critical reasoning argument, you have to consider this as 100% true. You cannot challenge it. Now, I'm simply asking, what is an assumptions behind this argument? Can you say?
Good guys
get into Harvard.
All good guys get into Harvard. Now, if this is the assumptions, if you take, it means this argument is 100% valid. The point is simple. Do not bring up your own knowledge when you are reading an argument. If you bring up your knowledge when you are reading the argument, it's gonna be a holy crap. Remember, you should not. Whatever information is stated over there, that should be the final thing for you. Do not, because a lot of time it happens, you will start thinking when you look into this argument, what the hell is this? How can it be possible? It is, whether it be possible or not, if it is written to you in CR argument, you have to consider it to be true. And now when you see that all good guys get into HBS, now things looks very fine. See here, Rahul is a good guy. All good guys get into HBS. This is also a fact, by the way. Assumptions are nothing but a hidden fact. Now, when you know the fact that Rahul is a good guy, you know the fact that all good guys gets into Harvard. Now saying that that's why he would get into Harvard, there is no wrong at all. It's an absolutely beautiful argument. So please understand, assumptions are something that is the backbone of an argument. It is very clearly told you in critical reasoning that if an argument is stated in front of you, do not challenge that argument at all. By mistake also not. Do not bring up your own knowledge at all there. This should not be challenged. And based on that particular argument, you are supposed to find the assumption. So this is a normal assumption, but the point next come is, how do you solve assumptions question? That is something which is again very important part. Very, very important part. How do you solve assumptions problem? Now, this is the place where you people will go mad. For sure, you will be like, what the hell, Rahul, what you're doing? How do you solve assumptions questions? Because until we don't solve questions, it won't be fun at all. How do you solve assumptions questions? Simple logic. So listen, now this is not my technique. I'm being very frank over here. This is not my technique. This is not nobody's technique in the world. Everyone in the world follows what I'm trying to say you, and you should be following this. However problematic it might be in the first instance, but it will be absolutely fine later, that I promise you. So see you, how do you solve assumptions question? Your first job is step number 1. Find the conclusion of the argument. And see, this is step number 1 to solve any critical reasoning questions except for inference 1. This is not as step number 1 for assumptions. Remember, in critical reasoning argument, in critical reasoning argument, if you get the conclusion, you are done solving 70% of the argument. I'll tell you, I have not told you all these things because I wanted to tell you when we solve questions, because all of information in one shot without questions makes no sense at all, guys. We can be having a philosophical class about CR for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, but end of the day till we solve questions, nothing gonna matter at all. So these are the things I'll be covering when we do the questions for sure. So step 1 is finding the conclusion. You have to ensure that when you read an argument, now what happens normally, that also I'm gonna state in front of you. What normally happens over here is that when you read an argument, a lot of time it happens, I'll tell you, there is no other way to get into the question till you know the conclusion well. And please remember my words, because what will happen when you do 100 questions, when you practice for 100 CR questions, then you start taking things for granted. Now, Rahul, I don't think so. I need to understand what are facts, what are conclusion. I've understood argument very well. I can get into the question for sure. But without finding conclusion, and not for assumptions, I'm telling for any critical reasoning question, except for inference 1. Without finding conclusion, if you get into the question, remember 90% you will end up getting a wrong answer. You might have an extremely beautiful understanding of the argument. It will have no sense at all, I'm telling. So this is one basic things that you must follow. Let it take time. It doesn't matter at all. Let it take time. So a lot of time it will happen that first line is the conclusion. A lot of time it might happen that last line is the conclusion. So our first job in any critical reasoning questions, including the assumptions questions, right now we are trying to understand how to solve an assumptions question. Step number 1, find the conclusion. Straightforward logic, right? Step number 2, negate the answer choices. I know there'll be a lot of backlash coming to me from your end, but let me explain and then you ask me whatever. Negate the answer choices. And what do you mean by negation? Imagine when I say Apurva is a good girl. Apurva is a good girl. How do you negate this statement? How do you negate this statement?
Apurva is not a good girl.
Absolutely.
That's
Ensure
not the
that
truth, but-
negation. Negation simple means that Apurva is not a good girl. You are not supposed to negate saying that Apurva is a good girl. The negation cannot be Apurva is a bad girl. That cannot be a negation for sure. Please understand. Because when I say Apurva is not a good girl, it means there are a 1000 thing now I can infer from here. When I say Apurva is not a good girl, Apurva can be the most classy girl that I've ever met in my life. Most brilliant girl. And Apurva can be the most dumbest girl that I've ever. I'm so sorry. I'm not telling you Apurva. Don't worry. Apurva, so when you say Apurva is not a good girl, things are all open in front of you. All open. Do whatever you. But you cannot. Negation doesn't mean that Apurva is a bad girl. Negation means remove a not from a place or add a not to a place where the entire meaning of sentences reverses. That's it. I'm coming down to the steps now. Step number 1, find the conclusion. Step number 2, negate the answer choices. Step number 3, whichever negated choices weakens the conclusion. Whichever negated choice weakens the conclusion is your answer. Now you will come back on me, ki Rahul, till now you have explained all that assumptions are something that 100% supports conclusion. Assumptions are the backbone of an argument. Assumptions can be taken for granted with respect to argument. Then why the hell I am supposed to weaken the conclusion? This can be a straightforward question from your end, right? And please ensure I fold my hands Do not use any of your logics at all when you are solving assumption question. This should be the only logic that should be used. Once you are very good, you can start playing around a little bit. But in exam, you should not play around it at all. I know a lot of you does, because in CR, guys, till you solve 400 questions, 300, 400 questions, you will not get the knack of solving CR. But 300, 400 questions, if we solve slowly.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hi. Is that Priyank?
Ria,
Priyank, this
your
is
mic
Ria
is
calling
on.
you from
Ria, your mic is on. Can you please?
How are you?
Ria, your mic is on.
I'm good, thank you. So Priyank, this is first of
Ria,
all,
your
many
mic is
congratulations for
on.
enrolling in the
Ria,
membership of Anshadi program.
You can mute.
And I just want to inform you that
okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it. Dude, I'm not the techie guy. I'm so sorry. Mute it. Okay, see here. So how do you solve assumptions questions? First, find the conclusion. Second, negate the answer choices. And third is whichever negative choices weakens the conclusion. Simple, straightforward logic. Now you can 100% come back of me, ki, Rahul, now you have taught assumptions are something which strengthen the conclusion. Then why should I follow this process? Why I should not choose the option that straight away supports the conclusion? It's a very valid question, yes or no? And if you don't ask me, let me ask you, why should you negate it? Why should you follow this process? As per the theory that we have studied till now, you can 100% tell me, Rahul, I'll choose an option that supports the conclusion. That could be 100% right answer. If I tell you, you can't choose option, can you answer me why? Please tell. Bolo, Bako. Sakshi, why should not you choose the answer that supports the conclusion?
I'm actually just trying to use one of our previous examples to run these steps and then see like step 3 is valid there. Can I have just 2 minutes?
Yeah. Atharv, why should you not choose the answer that supports the conclusion? Vinay, Akansha, please answer, man. Don't sit silent.
Because if it's negated, that means that it is not it is not being used to support the conclusion. So assumption should be necessary for the fact, for the conclusion to happen.
Avilash, you're supposed to speak. Avilash, you don't be in silent mode, please. All of you, please don't be silent, man. Lot of you, Mikhail.
It might be
Pratyush,
partially
Ria.
supporting the conclusion, not it. I mean,
What do you mean by partially
negation.
supporting the? See here, now come down to here. So what I've told you right now, that assumptions always and always supports conclusion. But when I'm giving you steps to solve assumption question, I'm telling you find the conclusion. I'm telling you to negate the answer choices. And third step, I'm telling you whichever negative choices weakens the conclusion should be your answer. As simple as it is. There's no complications at all. But there should be 100% questions from your side. Hey, Rahul, what the hell you mean by that? Till now you have taught assumption supports conclusion. Why should I weaken? Why should I negate it? And why should then I go and weaken it? I'll simply choose an answer that supports the conclusion. Now, why you should not be doing that, I'll just tell you.
It's easier to eliminate the choices.
No, not now, please.
If you negate it and
Imagine I'm giving you a question. Let's come down to a question. We'll discuss on the question, not without question. Say Rahul is a good guy. And he would get in Harvard. This is the argument that is made. He would get in Harvard. He would get in HBS, Harvard Business School. I hope I would get into HBS, man. Number one, let's say. So now you have to find an assumptions. I'm giving you 3-4 options. All good guys get into Harvard. Give me the assumptions. All good guys gets into Harvard. This is option number 1.
Yeah.
Gets in
All
Harvard.
boys get into Harvard.
Option number 2 is Rahul is a gold medalist. Third is Rahul is a math Olympiad topper.
Okay.
I'm writing so many big things. I hope someday math Olympiad topper. Fourth is Rahul is AI expert. Something in all this thing. Rahul is AI expert. So what is my job over here? What I have told you, how should you solve an assumption question? Our first job is to find the conclusion. Let me explain and then we'll discuss for sure. Whatever you want to discuss, let me first explain and then we'll discuss. So Rahul is a good guy. He would get into Harvard. My first job in finding assumptions question is what? To get the conclusion. I've got the conclusion here. Very well. I hope it's absolutely not a problem to any one of you.
Rahul, how is it not a premise and a conclusion? Can you help me with
Rahul
that?
is a good guy. I'll tell you. Whenever you talk anything in the future, Vijay, That's never a fact because that has not happened, right?
Oh,
That has
yeah.
never
Okay.
happened. Now, the point is,
Mhm.
I'll tell you one thing, Vijay. This is 100% conclusion. But sometime it
Mhm.
happens, Vijay, that even a factual word also acts as a conclusion because Rahul is a maths Olympia topper, is a good guy, and that's the reason he has got into Harvard. So sometime
Right.
a factual word can also be presented as a conclusive word, but conclusive word can never
Mhm.
be either wise. It can never be a factual word, but I don't want to say everything right now because it will be too messy for you all. So I'm just telling I'll very in the future classes of CR I'll very clearly tell you what are the conclusive words, what are the factual words like is, are,
Triggers.
has,
Okay.
have. These are all factual words. But something which has not happened in future is all uh, conclusive right now. So I'm just explaining you all the 3 steps to solve a assumptions question. So my first step was to find the conclusion. I've got the conclusion he would get into Harvard. Step number 2 is negate the answer choices. Now imagine I'm negating the answer choices. All the good guys does not get into Harvard. This is a negation. You put a not or remove a not. You are not supposed to change any wordings and all. So when I say all the good guys does not get into Harvard, then he would get into Harvard. This is my conclusion. Is it being 100% challenged? Yes or no?
Yes.
So my second job was what? Negate the answer choices. I negated statement number 1. And step 3, whichever negated choices weakens the conclusion or challenges the conclusion. Simple logic. So my conclusion is he would get into Harvard. Now conclusion is on what basis? The simple fact, one fact is stated in front of you because he's a good guy. Now statement number 1, when I negate it, all good guys does not get into Harvard. Don't you feel this is challenging the conclusion? Yes or no?
Yes.
100% challenging the conclusion, right? So this is my answer. Be very sure about it. Now come down to option number 2, 3, 4. Rahul is not a gold medalist. Do you really feel it is trying to challenge my argument? It is trying to challenge my conclusion. My conclusion is he would get into Harvard. It says Rahul is not a gold medalist. You don't have to be gold medalist to get into Harvard. You don't have to be at all. Am I right? Rahul is not a math Olympiad champion. You don't have to be a math Olympiad champion to get into Harvard. The point is that these are the answer which is beyond the scope of an argument. This has not been mentioned to you in the argument. The reason you should never choose an answer which directly supports the conclusion is just one logic. Sometime it happens, you will not realize, you will take some third party information. According to you, you will feel that it is trying to support my argument, so you will choose that as answer. So please ensure, guys, in assumptions questions, never ever choose an answer that supports the conclusion. I'm begging it to you. You do, it might be very frustrating to you initially, but I swear, once you do 50 questions, things will be 100% fine. 100% fine. It will not be a problem at all. But is this clear? Yes or no? Anyone who has any problem over here? That why should you not choose the answer which directly supports the conclusion? Because when you say Rahul is a good guy and he would get into Harvard, when you look into the option Rahul is a gold medalist or Rahul is a maths Olympiad topper or he's a AI expert, back of your mind it might come ki, these are the he is speaking good, these are the sentences that is speaking good about Rahul. But in technically, if you choose all these answers, you are doing nothing but trying to challenge the fact. And how you are trying to challenge the fact, I'll come down in the questions. I will not explain to you here. It will be a lot of things. But now, guys, I think we have spoken enough. This is what an assumption is. And you will never have a good understanding of assumptions or anything in your life till you do the questions. It is so clearly understood that until you do the questions, nothing gonna happen to you. You will have no understanding at all. And I promise I'll discuss every questions in a very detailed way, but I won't take 3 to 4 minutes and try solving the question, because see, when we discuss stuffs now, it looks very gloomy, it looks very colorful. But when we have to come and implement it on the question, things will go, you will go mad for sure. But I promise things will be fine. Can you take 3 to 4 minutes? I know a lot of you might have not read, but please understand, in critical reasoning, guys, do read and come. See, sometime it might happen that in maths class you don't read and come. Shubham or me, when I take your maths class, I'll be explaining you concept. If I can make you understand in the class, it's all fine. But please understand, in critical reasoning, if I give you time to read the question, then how do we discuss the answer? So I want that in critical reasoning, at least you do the questions, whatever I ask, you do it right, wrong, doesn't matter. But when you come to the class, you should have read the question very well. Only then again the discussions of why this option is not right, why this is right, why this is not right, then it will be very fine. But today it's okay. You take aram se 3 to 4 minutes, read the argument very well. I'll break the entire argument for you. Don't worry about it. But please try doing it. And from here onwards, now we understand. I'll tell you a lot of cues, things that needs to be looked out in the argument, but let's solve the question now. I think I've given you a philosophy for 1.5 hour, but it was very much required for critical reasoning. Don't abuse me. Please take 3 to 4 minutes. Question number 1, it's 11:44. I'll start speaking at 11:48 or 49. Mark your answer, or all of you mark your answer. Do not simply don't mark the answer. All of you should have one answer for sure. Don't worry about it's right or wrong. Answers, please. Put your answer in chat. Please put up all the answers. Don't you mark right or you mark wrong, doesn't matter at all. Sanskriti E, Pratyush E, Akansha E, Sakshi D, B, E, B. Okay. E. Bhumika B, Vilash E, Riya, Tanishka B, Vijay B. Okay. Next, Dipanshi. Perfect. Anyone else? Atharv E, Suraj E, Mikhail D. Okay. Anyone else? Devyanshu B. Man, very less of you have got the right answer. So again, Apurva, what is your answer? Apurva B. Okay.
I put
Perfect.
B.
Now I'll read out the argument and it'll take me a lot of time to explain you, but please understand, there's no point me putting 20 questions and solve the questions in front of you. It's always good that have a good less number of a question, but discussion should be done very properly. I have a space, right? Perfect. Arey man. What did happen? Oh shit.
Try to do an undo so that
Where it is undo?
top left,
Yeah,
just below home.
Got it. I'm so sorry, man. I'm technically completely fucked up person. I'm so sorry. Perfect. Chalo, let's do it now. So it says that, so that's what, guys, understanding assumptions and marking the answer of assumptions are two different things. But please ensure that concept that I've told you, everything follows from there itself. But our job is to read the argument very well. And then I'll read a lot of argument in front of you, but don't expect me to read all the arguments. And then what will you do? So see, your country B while production is not sufficient to meet the current demand. Tell me it's a fact or it's a conclusion. Please
Fact.
understand word is, are, has, have. These are all factual words. And I can't tell you everything at once or else you'll go mad. When we do the questions, I'll keep playing with the words. So it's a fact, right? Country B while production is sufficient to meet the current demand is a fact.
Yes.
And what can you infer from this particular statement when I say you? What is the inference that you can draw from this statement for yourself?
Previously, it used to meet demand.
Previously?
Previously, the demand is being met, but now it is not being met.
No, not that. Not that you started preparing for GMAT from Jan 2024. So everything would be inferred in that way. Can I infer from here, country B while production is not sufficient to meet the current demand? Now imagine if you see the present day example, Pakistan or a few days back Sri Lanka, they don't have the fuel supply. What happened to the country? So can I infer from this statement that they need to import the oil? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the normal inference that I can draw, that if they are not sufficient to meet the current demand, they will have to import the oil. So country B will have to import the oil. This is my first thing. Now the second statement says, in order to sharply reduce the dependence on the foreign source of oil, country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. So tell me, this is a fact or a conclusion? This is 100% a fact. In order to sharply reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil, country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol. So now what they want, they had to import the oil, but now they want to reduce the import because I think it might be costing them a lot. And how they want to reduce the import? If you hear Nitin Gadkari's speech, in every statement he creates a word ethanol. It's a very present example. So how they want to reduce the import? I think they have formed some sort of a external alternative fuel called ethanol in their country. They might have found it. Ethanol is very prevalent in the country like Brazil. Brazil uses ethanol in a humongous way in present day example. So they say that the argument simple says that they were not sufficient to meet the oil was not sufficient, so they had to import the oil. Now after importing, they wanted to reduce the import. How they wanted to reduce the import? They have an alternate fuel called ethanol. Agreed or not? Alternate fuel called ethanol. And now they say that See here, country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its oil to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. Now, combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for the energy. Now, they have straight away concluded that they had enough ethanol in their country, and now they are concluding that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. I'm so sorry. Let me remove all these things. Is sufficient to meet current demand. Don't you feel this is the only argument which is stated over here, or do you think there is anything else in the argument? They wanted to import the oil. They had no sufficient oil, so they imported the oil. Now they want to reduce the import. How they want to reduce the import? There is an alternate fuel called ethanol found in their country whatsoever. And now they are straight away coming down to the conclusion that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. Is this clear? Yes or no? Tell me this.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Now tell me, in this argument, they have spoken just about ethanol. What basis they have spoken ethanol? That they have found an alternate source of fuel. Do you think in the argument author is trying to discuss what is ethanol used for, or what is the mileage of ethanol? Do you think anything is being discussed in the argument?
Nope.
No.
This is the only thing in the argument. So if you have chosen answer C and E, it is 100% wrong. I'm not even negating it. I'm just telling you, I'll negate all the statements. Don't worry about it at all. But if in argument they have not talked about ethanol, the only talk about ethanol is what? They wanted to reduce the import. And how they wanted to reduce the import? There is an alternate source of fuel called ethanol that is found in the country. And they have straight away concluded that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. Please tell me, at what point they have spoken about the uses of ethanol, or what is the efficiency of ethanol? Had author said anything about such thing? So you
Rahul,
marking
the
answer.
last sentence in here, it's to meet its current demand for energy.
For
So
energy,
that energy is not only automobiles, right? So in order to
it could
support
be
the
whatever
statement,
energy, whatever energy, doesn't matter at all. The uses, you are talking about the use. Ethanol is coming, like let's say, whatever energy you have, Athar, right? Whatever energy demand you have, it is coming from any means that you take a oil, like you take a petrol, you take a diesel, you take a kerosene oil, you take, let's say, ethanol, but your demand is being fulfilled, right? Yes or no?
yes, right.
So how can you say there is absolutely no debate about that what is ethanol used for? It might be your demand is being fulfilled by ethanol, and ethanol is not a good source of mileage, but that doesn't matter at all. The primary purpose is that you should get something to move around, to go from one place to other place, because if that is also not met, it's all gone. So in this argument, they have not spoken anything about ethanol. So if you have chosen answer C and E, it's wrong. I'll tell you how it is also wrong. It's a long discussion right now. Can I, on that basis, ethanol is suitable for this and ethanol is efficient for gasoline mileage? Absolutely none of my business at all. Based with respect to this particular argument, can I straight away say C and E is wrong? Anyone, any problem? And why it is wrong, I'll 100% come down to the steps of assumptions. How should you solve it? Don't worry about that. But right now, can I say option number C and E is wrong?
Yeah.
I'll come down to it later also. Don't worry. Now come down to A. Electric power is not a superior alternative. Is the electric power discussed anywhere in the argument?
Out of scope.
No. Nope.
So you can straight away remove it. Now we are left with B and D. B says what? In country B, domestic production of ethanol is increasing more quickly than domestic oil production. Now imagine, what was my job? I'll use the negation technique with every particular option. But in these three options, I didn't use the negation technique because it was absolutely crap answer. But let me see here. Country B, domestic production of ethanol is increasing more quickly than domestic oil production. What was my job? To negate the answer choices. Let me negate this answer choices. Country B, oil production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than domestic oil production. How does it weaken my conclusion? My conclusion is what? Oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. I'm saying country B, oil production. No? How do I negate it? Domestic production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly. I'm telling you domestic production of ethanol is not increasing. Domestic production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than oil production. Do you think this information is sufficient to weaken this? Vijay, I think you have marked B. Whoever has marked B, tell me this. I'm trying to say that ethanol production is not increasing more quickly. And please understand, more. So you have to be very careful about the wordings, but dude, in one class, I can't give you everything. It will take some time. So please understand, more and all are very non-quantifiable words. More, less, move. These are all non-quantifiable words. When you have, imagine you have 1 rupees. I'll say you that, Vijay, I have more money than you. It means I may have 2 rupees, I have more money than you. I may have 200 rupees, I have more money than you. I may have 2,000 rupees, I have more money than you. I may have 20,000 rupees, I have more money than you. I may have 2 lakh rupees, I have more money than you. I have 2 crores rupees, I have more money than you. So more as a word is not quantifiable at all. I have less money than you. You might have 1 CR. You might have 1 CR. You might have 1 CR. But if I say I have less money than you, it means what? I might have 99 lakh 9,099 rupees. I have less money than you. I may have 1 rupees. I have less money than you. So these are all non-quantifiable words. So imagine if you get to understand here, with whatever understanding you have marked this answer, that domestic production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than oil production. Imagine. So the production of oil may be 100,000 ton. The production of ethanol may be 9,999 ton. So just because of 1 ton, can you say that it is not sufficient to meet the current demand? Because you have to choose an option, guys, where you negate the option, and this conclusion should weaken that oil plus ethanol is not sufficient to meet the current demand. It's a very normal logic, very normal logic. Now come down to option number D. So D says what? In country B, gasoline consumption is increasing. Now I'm negating it. Please understand. I'm removing not from here. If you choose an answer, you should negate the answer, and negated answer should weaken your conclusion. Simple, straightforward logic. In country B, gasoline consumption is increasing at substantially higher rate. Please understand, substantially is extreme word. Make a note of all these things. It's extremely important. These are the words that are very frequently used in CR, more, extremely, and all these things. In country B, gasoline consumption is increasing at substantially higher rate than domestic oil and ethanol production. Imagine if consumption is increasing at substantially higher rate. If consumption is increasing at substantially higher rate than the production, what will you have to do?
You will have to import.
You will have to import. Are you breaking the conclusion? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% you are breaking the conclusion. The conclusion was what? Oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. But when I say consumption is increasing at substantial rate, it means at a very high pace. It's extreme word. So if consumption is increasing at substantially higher rate than the production, it means that you will have to import the oil. So this is one thing which is 100% trying to weaken the conclusion. So this is your answer. You have to now imagine, let's say in option number C, D, and E. Imagine if you do not relate to me when I said you that ethanol discussion has not happened in the argument. So why should I even bother about thinking what is ethanol? And that's the reason I have removed answer C and option number E. But if at all you have to follow the process, let's negate this and see it is weakening my conclusion or not. Option number C and E. Ethanol is not suitable for heating of homes, other applications aside from the automobile. How is it weakening my conclusion that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand? Tell me one answer. Tell me one thought process.
Instead of automobiles, it won't be used for anything else. So
it's not about anything else. Now you are going to the extreme. They have just told not suitable for heating of homes. So heating of homes, I'll take kerosene oil. And other applications. Other applications means what other applications? Are you talking about the home application, or are you talking about the countrywide applications? What exactly you are talking about? Think. Right. Don't go to the extremes by your own thought process. You have to 100% you have to look into these words. Ethanol is not as efficient as gasoline. It's fine, not as efficient as gasoline, but how much not as efficient? It is not mentioned to you over here. It's saying ethanol is not as efficient as gasoline. Okay? Gasoline gives you a mileage of 20 km per liter. But if ethanol gives you a mileage of 90 km per liter, then also it is not as efficient as gasoline. If it gives a mileage of 10 km per liter, then also it is not as sufficient as gasoline. If it gives a mileage of 5 km per liter, then also it is not as sufficient as gasoline. But there is a 90 km assumptions also that I can take. So answers can never be probable. Answers cannot vary the way you assume it to be. You might 100% assume here that ethanol mileage is 5 km per liter. But I can also assume that if you are telling gasoline mileage is giving you 10 kilometer per liter, I can also assume ethanol is giving you 90 kilometer per liter. And despite that, you can make this a statement. It is not as sufficient as gasoline, but it is still sufficient, yes or no? Right? Athar,
Yes.
is this clear? Now imagine, guys. Now let's say you have come down to the answer by negation. Now, how should you recheck your answer? Please, I request all of you, do this for at least 50 questions and then you will be very, very fine. Very fine. What I'm telling you, I'll just show it to you. Now imagine this is the answer that we have marked. And this is the right answer. Let's say this is the right answer. You want to recheck your answer. Now you don't have to negate it at all. What we have learned in assumptions, that assumptions are something that always and always supports conclusion. Always. So now don't negate it. Now your job is read the fact. So there is a fact that is given to you in the argument. There's a conclusion that is given to you in the argument. Now assumptions comes in the middle. Now your job is simple. Once read the fact, then read the assumptions and then read the conclusion and see it is maintaining the same sync or not. Now imagine if I'm reading the fact, in order to sharply reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil, country be recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. So this is my fact. Now I have to read assumptions and then conclusion. So again, I'm reading. In order to sharply reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil, country be recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. In country B, gasoline consumption is not increasing at substantially higher rate than domestic oil and ethanol production, and therefore I can come down to the conclusion that combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for energy. Am I making sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
100%. Anyone? Any problem here? Palak, is this clear? Bhumika, any problem here?
No, sir.
Ajal?
No.
Keshav, any problem?
no
Keshav, you are so
problem.
quiet. Kritika?
No, got it.
Shai, any problem here?
No, I got it.
Perfect. So this is how the answer is. Now, but please understand there's one thing more. There's a lot of things that needs to be discussed, and that's the reason I'll not discuss more questions today. Don't worry at all, because you people have not read. You people should do all these questions by yourself, and then discussion will make a very different sense. That's a place where you can argue with me. If you don't do the questions from your end, then you will not be able to argue with me. In 5 minutes, how much will you think? Think about
Rahul,
it. Yep.
sorry, I'm just a bit like stumped because when I did this the other day also, it was B. I got B or E, and like today I took off E. So obviously now between B and D, even if I plug in B, right? It's making sense to me, but when you broke it down before, it made sense that it's not an answer.
No, but
when
I'll plug in front of you, Apurva.
yeah.
Let me plug in. In order to sharply reduce the dependence of foreign source of oil, country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline, right? In addition to gasoline, in country B, domestic production of ethanol is increasing more quickly. What do you mean by more quickly? Than domestic oil production. Again, you are comparing the ethanol production to oil production. This is not our comparison at all, Apurva. Our
Right.
argument is oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. I don't care कि तो ethanol production of ethanol is increasing more quickly or production of oil is increasing more quickly. This is none of my job at all. My job is oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand.
Got it.
Agreed?
Okay. Yeah.
Now imagine there's something called pre-thinking, guys. I'll not do a lot of questions. One more questions and I'll stop so that you understand how to do assumptions questions. And then again, in next class, we'll discuss in detail, because that's a place where you can fight with me. If you don't come by doing it, then it's gonna be a very linear class, which makes no sense in CR at least. So please understand, you might have heard something about pre-thinking. A lot of you might have heard about pre-thinking in CR, which I personally feel that it is crap. You should not be doing it. Absolutely not be doing it. This is something which is very suitable for avid readers. But despite that, I've seen a lot of readers not doing pre-thinking. Pre-thinking is what? Imagine when author is concluding this, that combined with its oil production, means ethanol plus oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for the energy. Now, if author is concluding this, what we have learned about assumptions, that assumptions are hidden fact. Assumptions are something that always and always supports conclusion. So if author is making this a statement, author is concluding this, there's a very substantial thing that author might have assumed for himself to make this conclusion. And what is that substantial thing? If author is concluding combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for the energy, author must have 100% assumed in his head that gasoline consumption is not going to increase substantially than domestic oil and ethanol production. If consumption is not going to increase at substantial rate, only then the author can make this conclusion that country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for the energy. Am I making a complete sense? Yes or no? But don't get into pre-thinking, because pre-thinking is nothing but the answer that you're marking. That should be a pre-thinking. So please understand, this is a argument that has been given to you. The final say of the argument is, combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for the energy. So after thinking, what author might have concluded this? Author might have 100% thought that consumption is not going to increase at substantial rate than oil and ethanol production. And that's the reason I can conclude that if oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. It's a simple, straightforward logic. Am I making sense? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So, Rahul,
Anyone who didn't follow,
we,
please tell me.
yeah, Rahul. So we have eliminated B because that is talking about production and not about the consumption, right?
It is talking about production of ethanol and oil, which is none
So,
of our job. Our
yeah,
job is
but
oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand.
okay, so we can understood in this way, na? Like we have to author concluded that our production of oil plus ethanol will meet our current demand, but B is talking about only production. So
Right.
production won't give the sense that won't give that sense that it will able to meet that current demand or not. But
Right,
if
100%, 100%. That's a beautiful understanding of yours. That production at all will give you no sense whether it is able to meet the demand of energy or not.
future
Production
demand.
has nothing to do with the
But
consumptions at all.
But yeah, but comparing consumption with the production might help. Like consumption will not increasing, so ethanol will meet the
Obviously,
demand.
if consumption is increasing at a substantial rate, then obviously you will have to import the oil now.
Yeah, so
Simple logic.
I put it that way.
That's good. That's good. That's a brilliant thing. No issues at all.
Okay.
So there will be a bit of math in every CR question, not in every CR question. Out of 11 CR question that you get in the exam, there will be 3 questions which will mathematical ways, but we'll do this later. Right now, let's focus on the literature. So one more questions and then we'll stop for today. But today, right now, time is not too much. No, we can do 3-4 questions, 3-4 questions, just 12, 11, dude. Perfect. Can we do question number 2, please? Take 3 to 4 minutes, no rush at all. You people have not done and come to the class, or else it would have been a very different game all in all. But can you please try question number 2?
So in the question before,
Yeah.
I realized that I chose the wrong option E. But now what step should I take so that I don't repeat this mistake in
It's
other
simple.
questions?
The simple is this Akansha here, that you have to negate the answer choices and see that how it is affecting your conclusion. Straight away, it should impact your conclusion. When you say ethanol is not as efficient, so when you say I'm not as efficient as you, Akansha, it means that your productivity might be 100%, mine is 99%. I can still say I'm not as efficient as you. My productivity can be 80%. I can still say I'm not as efficient as you. My productivity can be 50%. I can still say as I'm not as efficient as you. So when you say something in a non-quantifiable term, a person can take 99% and person can take 10% also. So you can mark an answer saying that no, Rahul, if it is not as efficient, it might be efficient 99%, but I can think, no, Rahul, no, Akansha, I'm thinking about 10%. So when your thought process varies considerably from a person to person, it means that there is something wrong. That's a very wavering answer and you should not look into it at all. Agreed?
Okay.
Any other question? Question number 1, anyone? Please tell me. Vijay, any question? Bhumika,
No.
Dipan, Athar, any question? Kajal?
No, no, it's all right.
Pratyush,
No.
any question? Ria, all clear? Perfect. Let's
Yeah.
solve question number 2. It's a nice question, guys, because I'm telling you, just because you understand what an assumption is, it never means that you will be able to solve a question. You will only be able to solve a question when you solve. And when you are solving it in home, please ensure do not get frustrated with it. It might happen you solve 10 CR question, you get 9 wrong. But that doesn't mean that should frustrate you at all. Absolutely no. Just keep looking why the right answer is right. And I'll tell you one thing more thing about CR, but before that, question number 2, please. I'll speak at 12:17. Oh, this is again a question where you can debate with me a lot, if you wish.
Thank you.
Fires answer question number Pratyush C. Okay. I think C for question number 2. A, C, Sakshi. Avilash C. Riya A. Easy argument to understand, no doubt at all. Pius C. Suraj A. Purva A. Kancha C. Yes, she. Sanskriti C. Okay. Should we discuss? For anyone who is left, please answer. Mikhail C. Simply, Mikhail, try and negate C and C. Is that weakening the conclusion or not? Your job is pretty simple. Negate the option. It should weaken the conclusion. Vinay, check whether C is weakening the conclusion or not after negation. Anyone else who is left out to answer? Please mark your answer. Don't worry about. Mark only one answer. Let it be wrong. Atharv A. Okay. Perfect. Bhumika A. Kajal A. Perfect. Let's discuss this now. It says, although there has been a great scientific debate for decades over global warming, most scientists now agree that it's a fact. Human activity is causing the Earth temperature to rise. So although there has been, has, have, is, are, these are all factual words. although there has, but has, have, sometime is also used as a conclusive word. But then you have to understand ki the always ensure that always fact should lead to conclusion, never eitherwise. Always remember, conclusion in the critical reasoning never support anything. They never weaken anything. Conclusion is the final say of an author. An author is coming down to conclusion based on the fact. So final say of the author can never support or weaken anything. So when I say, although there has been a great scientific debate over decades over global warming, most scientists now agree that human activity is causing Earth's temperature to rise. Though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit during the next century. Such an increase would cause, see here now, such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level. Now, because such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, this will lead to the effect. What is the effect? Displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world coastal cities. So when you read, your understanding should be very clear. After, tell me one thing, I should not be asking you this stuff. It will get too grammatical. But point is ki grammar should be known for you to understand the meaning very properly. Tell me, what is displacing referring to? I'm just playing around with the argument.
Population.
Moving of
Population.
people.
To
Movement.
what? To
Movement of people.
What movement?
Movement of people.
No, I'm telling what is displacing. So
Another.
imagine I
Habitation
give you a normal sentence. Guys, until you don't make it playful for you, it won't happen. See here. I'm just, because these are the words that are used everywhere. Imagine I give you a normal statement I'm writing. The bank crashed. Because my main focus is that you understand things pretty well. The bank crashed and it led a lot of people to lose money. Lot of people to lose money. Don't see, I'm not trying to show my smartness over here. I'm just trying to show, because these are something which can be, these are something that will be very frequently used, and that's the reason I'm telling. The bank crashed and it led a lot of people to lose money. Is this a right statement or not? Tell me. Please discuss. Now, this is a very simple. It has got nothing to do with critical reasoning. I've written one statement. The bank crashed and it led a lot of people to lose money. Is this a right statement? Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
crashed.
Yeah.
It refers to
It
and
refers to
and the
what?
crashing led to it should be replaced by crashing is what I think.
It refers to the situation of bank crash.
So is this a right
No.
statement? Yes or no? Tell me this first.
Yes.
No.
Yes. If it is yes, Sanskriti, what is it going back to?
Going back to Adu?
What
I
is,
didn't
it is a
understand.
it is a pronoun Sanskriti, right?
Yeah.
So when I say Sanskriti is a good girl, I can't say a statement Sanskriti is a good girl and Sanskriti is a beautiful girl. That's crap. You can't write in one statement twice the noun. I have
Yeah.
to say Sanskriti is a good girl and she is a beautiful girl. She goes back to Sanskriti. So whenever you use a pronoun in
It
the
goes
statement, there
back.
should be a very clear reference point. If you are telling me this is a right statement, all
Hmm.
I'm trying to ask you, what is it going back to? What is it referring back to?
It is referring back to the bank crashing.
How can it is a pronoun. It has to refer back to only one noun.
Bank.
Noun.
Refers to bank.
It refers to bank. Do you think bank led a lot of people to lose money?
No.
So the
The
right
crash
statement
led
would
to
be, the right
This
statement is what? The bank
the bank crash
crash, this led to
Not
and the
this. This
crash.
is also a pronoun. No, the bank
Leading-
crashed.
Leading to.
Absolutely, leading a lot of
leading
people to
to.
lose money.
Uh-huh.
Leading a lot of people to lose money. This is the right statement.
yeah.
So leading is going back to what? Now this is the adverbial modifier which is going back to the entire clause. It was a crash of bank that led a lot of people to lose money. It was not a bank crashed it, because it has, if you use a pronoun it, this, which, and all these things, please understand it goes back to bank. The bank led a lot of people to lose money. This is crap. What do you mean by bank led a lot of people? Bank cannot lead a lot of people to lose money. It was a crash in the bank. So how do you portray grammatically? So the bank crashed, comma, leading a lot of people to lose money. In this situation, what happens? Ensure that for your better understanding purpose, whenever you read any statement, leading should go back to the entire clause. It was a crash in bank. So now this is giving you meaning that it was a crash in bank that led a lot of people to lose money. It was not bank that led a lot of people to lose money. Why did I say you this? Because it's very frequently used in the literature. And whenever you read, so I'll come down to it later. So when you say here displacing a lot of people, so such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level. So displacing a lot of people, displacing is going back to the entire whole clause. It is not going back to one single noun. It's an adverbial modifier. Because this would increase, this would cause an alarming rise in the sea level, and that's the reason displacement of million of people by destroying major population center will happen. So the meaning comes out. So this entire thing is a conclusion. Such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level. Now, because such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, and that's the reason people will be displaced. This is the meaning that they are trying to give it to you. And that's the reason I felt that SC was a very important part. You know what, SC, if you're good with SC, sentence correction, which used to be tested in GMAT before, one thing that sentence correction did for everyone, irrespective of the background you belong from, you may be a very avid reader, you may be a non-reader, it doesn't matter at all. But sentence correction was one topic which used to tell you that whenever you read anything in the, once you are good in SC, you read anything in the world, however complicated it may be, it doesn't matter at all. You will exactly understand something that is making sense to you, that they are trying to say you. You will not use your own assumptions and all while you are reading. So that's the important part, but I'll keep telling you wherever it is used in CR or RC passes, wherever the languages are so frequently used over here. And this is one very frequent thing after comma. If there's an ing form coming, 99% guys, it will go back to the entire clause. And once you start looking from this perspective, I can ensure you, your understanding capacity would be in a very different extent. It will be in a very different level, I can tell you. So now this is a conclusion. A lot of you have marked C as an answer. We'll come to A later, but let's before. So first of all, is the argument very clear to you? They are telling you very clearly. Let me read the argument once more. Although there has been a great scientific debate for decades over global warming, most scientists now agree that human activity is causing the Earth's temperature to rise. Though prediction vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit during the next century. And such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world's coastal coastlines, whatever. Now I'll come to A later. Let's come to B first. Individual will become, first of all, when you are reading in assumptions questions, you can by default negate and read. Individual will become more aware of the step they can take to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. Now let's discuss why you didn't mark this answer. Individual will become more aware of the steps. Aren't you aware right now that global warming is going on? All of us are aware that global warming is going on right now, right? But you being aware about the global warming and you taking steps regarding the, now don't give me answer, Rahul, I don't use plastic. I understand you don't use plastic, but that is not the only step that you should be taking. You should take more actively participate. So when you say individual will become more aware of the steps they take, you being aware of the steps and you taking steps are two different corner of the ocean. All of us are aware that global warming is going on right now. What is happening? Imagine the temperature of Bangalore. It was never like this as it is today now. So, but you just being aware of the global warming steps, it does not at all justify that you will be taking the steps to reduce the global warming. So this is not the answer. In no way it is trying to weaken my conclusion. Now come down to option number C. A lot of you have marked option number C. Rising sea levels similarly affect all the coastal population center. So how do I weaken it? How do I negate it? Rising sea level does not similarly affect all the coastal population center. So, Mikhail, I think you have marked answers. A lot of you have marked answers. They tell me how it is weakening the conclusion. Please. A lot of you have marked answer C. Can you please respond why it is weakening the conclusion? Give some perspective
Because,
now. How does it matter? It doesn't matter at all, man. Don't have to
it
be
does.
scared of me at all. Just speak whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I marked up option C because I focused a lot on destroying major population centers part of the conclusion. So C was kind of negating that it wouldn't destroy major
So
population.
imagine this is Mumbai, which is at 2.3 meter above the sea level, imagine. So see, I'm not geography student also, I can't write it in the way it should be written. But just for a perspective, let's say this is South Africa, which is 2.5 meter above the sea level. Let's say this is New York, which is like, let's say 2.2 meter above the sea level. Let's say sea level has rose to 2.4 meter. Now, please understand whether it is similarly affecting or it is dissimilarly affecting, but it is still affecting the coastal population center, yes or no?
Yes.
Still people are being displaced, right or not?
Yes. Yes.
So you can't, so the point is, if you negate the answer, you should 100% weaken the conclusion. Yeah, I'm not able to weaken my conclusion. It may be similarly affecting all the coastal population city, or it may not be similarly affecting, but it is still affecting. People are still being displaced. So I can't mark this answer. So the whole point in critical reasoning is not to understand why the right answer is right. It is extremely important for you to analyze why wrongs are wrong. And when people come and say, no, that Rahul, I'm trapped in two options, it means your analysis is not good. Do not say all this bullshit stuff that you are not trapped in two options and three options. No. Understand, analyze it, read it 10 times, read it 20 times. We are scared of doing this. It becomes a bit of source of frustration. But when you start doing this, things will be beautiful, I can tell you. Don't think of right now, 1 month from now, if I'm asking you to solve some questions, and I'll give you very clearly, you solve 3 questions per day, 4 questions, just do that. I promise it will be fine. So let's say C is the wrong answer now. Come down to D. Some global warming expert predict a greater than 8 degree Fahrenheit increase in. Why is option number D wrong? Anyone? Give me a reason to it.
Because it says 3 to 8, so if it was 7 degrees, it would still affect.
It says it would still affect, but for sure. But the point is that some
Doesn't
global warming expert predict. Can this answer be right? Yes or no? It is not right for sure. I just want a very subtle reason as to why this is not right.
It says
doesn't
there is
add
an
to any-
average, and here it says it is greater than 8 degree, which can still be an average.
That's beautiful.
No, I see. I
Ra-
think maybe because it doesn't really add to this in any way. It's already, the information is already stated.
Okay.
So I don't, just negating
I've
this
told you
also
one
doesn't.
thing.
Rahul, this is not a
Ah.
fact, right? Because here they've given, though predictions vary. So nothing is concrete here. So I feel that's
right.
the
Though
reason.
see here, though prediction vary, many global warming believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degree Fahrenheit. And what I have told you, right, when I was teaching you CR concepts just 1 hour before, never choose an answer. Never ever in your life choose an answer that straight away challenges or support fact. You are not supposed to choose an answer that challenges or support fact. Absolutely no, because if you are doing this, it means you are considering this argument is wrong. If you are doing this, it means you are disrespecting the argument. It means you are trying to bring your own stuff, your own knowledge over here. So you should not at all entertain such answer which straight away challenges the fact. I agree. Average means more than 8 degrees. Someone told me, beautiful understanding. But I can, for one reason, I can mark this answer wrong. It is challenging my facts in the argument for sure. My fact says that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degree. It says more than 8 degree. So there is no point even I chose this answer. Absolutely no point. So all I'm trying to say now, when you choose an answer, there should be a very generalized understanding that what you are trying to do over here. And this generalized understanding helps you in a lot of other questions. So don't extremely just go back to the answer as to why this is right. It's very important to understand why wrong ones are wrong. And this may not help you. If you understand in this particular question, it will be a very helpful in other questions at all. So it's not that the way I try and there is a bit of generalization that I follow in my life. And all you have to do is that you have to try and generalize for yourself that if I'm choosing this wrong answer, can I on this basis, can I straight away, this is the other argument given to me, can I mark this wrong or not? If you can mark it wrong and it's actually wrong for 10-15 question, you can 100% accept that as a very generalized method for you. And these are the things that will happen when you actually do it strategically in the way it is expected from you to do. Option number E is not an answer. Why? Because it is a repetition of a fact. And assumptions are the hidden fact. Option number C, I can say it's a repetition of the fact, because fact straight away says human activity is causing the Earth temperature to rise. It says human activity is the sole cause of increasing global temperature. It's the same thing written in a bit different wording. But repetition of a fact cannot be assumption. Assumptions are hidden fact. You can't repeat it. So option number E is wrong for that reason. Now let's come down to option number A. Now there is a huge thing that will happen in option number A as well. Now let's come down to option number A, guys. Now because 4 answers are wrong, so option number A is right. Simple, straightforward logic. Now, who says, I think a lot of you says option number A is right. Let me ask you a question before you ask me. It is just said that you should not bring anything from outside in critical reasoning. Why have you brought new technological development? Whoever has marked option number A as answer, a lot of you have marked. But can I ask, what the hell you mean by new technological development? It is not a part of a passage. So can't I say this is out of scope answer? And if I can't say why I can't say this, that should be a reason that is known to you, because when you choose the answer, irrespective of the people you are discussing in your life, you should 100% understand why have you choose the answer. So all of you who have chosen A, because a lot of you have marked A as answer, a lot. Kajal, Bhumika, Akanksha, Kritika, Riya, Apurva, Akshay, Suraj. A lot of you are marked. I'm giving you a, I'm countering to your answer. A is still a right answer, no issues at all. But I'm making a counter argument that this is an out of scope answer. We have just read that anything beyond this scope. How come you bring new technological development? Now tell me. Please, bolo, bako, only then things will be fine. In critical reasoning, you're not supposed to be so silent in verbal class, man. You be silent in quant class, I agree to it. But not in my class, for sure. Bolo, tell.
It did feel out of scope, but I went through the other options. They seemed wrong, so I thought that this might be like, I was trying to eliminate the unlikely ones, and I was left with A.
Good.
Yeah,
That's a good.
same. I was able to
that's-
eliminate B, C, D, and A was left. Yes.
I couldn't,
Yeah.
like, there's no logical reason because it's actually out of scope, but the other ones were unlikely.
It's
did
not
the
out of
same,
scope. You're stupid,
but-
Riya. No,
I'll
it is not
tell
out
you,
of scope answer. Yeah, please tell me.
Not out, I mean, not in, like, it's not
Seemed like a
mentioned
better
like
option.
logical.
I
It
agree.
seemed
Yeah.
like a better option out of the 5, and I also felt like it was directly sort of weakening the conclusion, because without technological developments, people will be displaced irrespective, because sea levels are rising.
Agreed.
So with
Agreed.
technological developments, there is a guarantee of sort that displacement won't happen.
Agreed. Atharv, what was your answer?
Yeah, like these were the two reasons. First of all, was like when I eliminated the option, this was the
First of all,
option.
I'm telling you it is 100% within the scope. It is not out of scope
Yeah.
at all. Now you think
Yeah,
in that
and-
perspective, why it is within the scope of the answer? Anyone?
And in addition to what Apurva said, that like
Sure, Vijay, no issues. You can move on.
yeah, so that is something.
But Mikhail, you have any answer to it? Suraj, Avilash, any answer? I'm telling you this is 100% within the scope. It is not out of a scope answer. I can be 100% sure.
Rahul, I feel that since the last statement, I mean, the question itself is asking the assumption which supports the argument's conclusion.
So tell me
So
one
this
thing.
this statement actually supports a lot.
No, again,
So-
you have to understand a bit of grammar. That's the reason I'm telling. Tell me, what is technological here?
A part of human activity.
What? It's a part of human activity? No, Suraj. I'll tell you what is technological here. What do you mean by this word? So these are the clues that author will deceive you by saying all this stuff. New technology. What is technological over here? Do you think there is any relevance of technological over here? This is an adjective referring to developments, dude. You remove all these things. You remove technological. Let there be. You don't read technological, and now you read the statement. Is it making a complete sense? Yes or no? New
Yes.
developments in the next century, and there is development given to you in the passage. So technological is nothing but an adjective. Adjectives are there to describe noun. And these are the clues that GMAT puts you so that you get confused. Technological is out of scope, so you mark out of scope answer and move on. There is no technological at all. There is no relevance of technological. The still the statement is new development in the next century. Straight away. Now let me read out. Let me not read technological at all. New developments in the next century will divert the rising sea from the world coastal cities. So when it will divert rising sea from the world coastal city, why would displacement of people happen? When the sea will not come in your city, you won't be displaced. You'll be all fine. Take care of it. So this is a straightforward answer, but the reason is that you should understand why the right answer is right. These are the small things which will help you a lot in future. So please understand technological was just a stupidity or cues there to deceive you. Because a lot of you might happen new technological development, you say it's an out of scope answer. You may move on without reading the statement because there is no technological that is mentioned over here. But this is not a noun. This is an adjective. You remove this and read the sentence. It will make a perfect sense here. Absolutely perfect sense. Now imagine. Now we have negated this. We have got A as an answer. So what is our next job? Our next job is to reconfirm our answer. And when you reconfirm it, you will exactly realize that how much it is within the scope. I'll just show you. Read the fact first, then read the assumptions, and then read the conclusion. So I'm just reading it. Though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit during the next century. New development in the next century. Just imagine. See here. Though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees during the next century. Now, new developments in the next century will not divert rising sea from the world coastal city, and therefore such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people. Understood? Because now when you are rechecking the answer, ensure that you don't negate it. Absolutely no. Because when I'm rechecking from this perspective that assumptions will always and always support the conclusion, irrespective of whatever it is. There is only one logic of assumption. Assumptions are hidden fact. Hidden facts means the role of fact in the argument is always to support the conclusion. So assumptions in any way will always and always support conclusion. Now we have come down with our process. We have marked answer A. But just to recheck it now, we just read it out. Read facts, read assumptions, read conclusion, and see it is making a complete sense to you or not. Though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit during the next century. New developments in the next century will not divert the rising sea from the world coastal city, and therefore, author is very right to conclude that such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world coastal city. Is that making a complete sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Ram.
And the
Makes sense.
pre-thinking is also exactly the same thing. Pre-thinking is nothing, but your answer is a pre-thinking. If author is making a conclusion that such an increase, if author is making this conclusion front of you that such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people, just think one thing after thinking what author is making this conclusion. Author 100% know that new developments in the next century will not divert rising sea from the world coastal cities. And that's the reason author is forced to make such a conclusion that such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population centers. So assumptions as a concept is being understood to you all or not? Not just solving problem and all. I'm not bothered about whether you solve question right or wrong. But is this making a perfect sense as to what an assumption is? Anyone who has a doubt over what an assumption is, please tell me. Nikhil, is this all clear? Akansha, Avilash,
Yeah.
Akshay, any problem? Akshay, Avilash, you people are so silent, man. Dipan,
Understood, Rahul.
any problem, Dipan?
No, Rahul. All good.
Keshav, any problem? Kritika, Keshav, you are also very silent. Speak it up, bro, please. Sakshi, Sanskriti, any problem here? All clear, right?
Rahul, I have a quick question. So it's not
Please
about
tell.
option A, it's about option C. So in that, if the word similarly was not there, and we would try
Yes.
to negate it, let's
No,
say.
but like, let's say, what is the word? You tell me the word proper, Sakshi.
No, I mean, it would just be rising sea levels affect all coastal population centers. So would we disregard it because it's just reiteration of a fact from
100%. Rising
the-
sea levels affects all the coastal population center. Imagine rising sea level does not affect all the coastal populations. And it might not affect Mumbai, but it will still affect South Africa. It will still affect New York. It might still affect California. So I don't know what is the why do we don't have a statistical data, right? We
Right.
see what city has what level of the sea level, right? So even if you say rising sea level does not affect all the coastal population center, it means it is still affecting a lot of coastal population center, right? Because the entire world is on the sea.
Right.
Agreed,
So
Sakshi.
then doesn't it like challenge our conclusion which says millions of people by destroying major population centers? I'm just trying to understand, like
I understand. Imagine ki Mumbai will be affected, let's say.
right.
But let's say New York is at a greater height, it will not be affected at all. So New York is also major population center. Mumbai is also major
Yeah.
population center.
Okay, got
So in
it.
that case, one is being impacted, other is not being impacted. Agreed?
Right. Makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question number 3, guys. We have time right now. Please, one more questions and I leave you. 100%. I know that it might be a source of frustration, but let's do one easy question. But again, it is easy only if you understand. Please. Last question and then we'll continue in the next class. Pakka. Take 3 to 4 minutes. Try doing this. And then I'll stop the class because I can't take 3 hours class of verbal, neither me nor Shubham. Those 3 hours will make you mad for sure. But at least let's do for 2.5 hours, please. So it's 12:44. I'll start speaking at 12:50. Try. Tanishika, please recheck your answer. The beauty about CR is this only, that you might have a very proper understanding of the argument, but still you might have end up marking wrong also. Okay. Sakshi, recheck your answer. Kajal, recheck. Riya, you too. Akshay, perfect. Tell me one thing. What is the conclusion in this argument?
That the utility companies will be able to provide stable energy supplies to all their clients.
Perfect. If that is clear, then yes. Then
Sorry,
there is
can
no
you
problem.
repeat that again? My
I'll tell
bad.
you. I'll explain you. I'll explain.
Yeah, yeah.
Let people solve. Tell me one thing. What is the conclusion of this argument? And you don't have to even look into the conclusion. The question is very clear. The claim of utility company assumes which of the following? What is the claim of utility company? The claim is simple, that they are trying to say. So the utility companies claim that they'll be able to provide a stable source of supplies to all their client. Now, you might understand whether this is a conclusion or not a conclusion, but technically this is the conclusion. So conclusive words are these are the things we will discuss later slowly and gradually. So what are the conclusive words? Claim, hypothesis, claim, position that you take, hypothesis. These are all conclusive words. All, there are lots of words and all. Let's not get into that. But let's say when I say that I claim to be the world best GMAT teacher, imagine. I claim to be the world best GMAT teacher. You will come shouting at me. What the hell, Rahul? How can you do this? You are a GMAT teacher, we agree. But how can you make this claim? So please remember, claims are always and always disputable. You can dispute. So it means this is a conclusive word. Conclusions are something on which things can be disputed. You can dispute an hypothesis. You can dispute the position that you take. You can dispute the claim. You can dispute on the opinion that you make. I can 100% dispute. You can tell me, Rahul, I feel that you should get into Harvard. Someone else will tell you how. What? Just because he know math and English, you can't say he will get into Harvard. So your opinions can be disputed. Your claims can be disputed. The position that you take on some scenario can be disputed. The hypothesis that you make can be disputed. So these are all conclusive words. And again, you are not supposed to understand here that whether it's a conclusive word or not, because question makes it very clear. The claim of utility company assumes which of the following, and the claim is very clearly given to you here. That utility company claim that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. And what energy are they talking about? They are talking about wind and solar power, or do you think they are talking about anything else? Please tell. Do you actually think they are talking about anything else in the argument? Or the utility company claims that they are able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. They are only talking about wind and solar power. Anyone who feels that this energy is being talked about anything else except wind and solar power, please tell, then we can debate on this.
Nope.
It's only
No,
that straightforward. Yeah.
But Rahul, while reading, I did not read the question stem as such, right? I only read the argument. And according to the argument, I felt that the conclusion is after the part where, as one can easily see, these sources will be less risky in the utilities.
This is called Apurva, duplicate facts. See here. As one can easily see, these sources will be less risky for the utility than a non-renewable source, such as gas, oil, and coal. So obviously this will be less risky. This is the fact that they are trying to make. Here will is being used. It's not about it is well written, so it's a conclusion. They are most of the time conclusive word, but you have to look into the structure of the statement. It says, as one can easily see, this sources will be less risky for a utility company than a non-renewable source such as oil, gas, whose prices can fluctuate dramatically according to the availability. So you know that the prices of oil, gas can fluctuate dramatically according to the availability. Is this 100% true or not, Apurva?
Sorry, that wasn't me, but
no.
I had a similar question. So it's, yeah.
So this is 100% a fact. When you read the CR concept book that I have told you, there you will go and see that there are lots of duplicate facts also mentioned to you in the argument to deceive you from the final, just to deceive you. That's it. This technically, if you look into this, the next part has got no say in the argument at all. It's all crap. It's full of crap, I'll tell you. There is no say of these things in the argument at all. The argument stands still here. So it says, in response to the increasing cost of producing energy through traditional means such as combustion, many utility companies have begun investing in renewable energy sources, chiefly wind and solar power. Many utility companies, hoping someday to rely on them completely and thus lower energy cost. These sources require significant initial capital investment. No doubt they require a huge amount of money, but the operating costs are not so high. They have told you operating costs are not so high. So the utility company claimed that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy so that, देखो यहाँ पे the Apurva check here, it is written so. So therefore, these are all conclusive words. Is that making sense now, Apurva?
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about how beautifully you read, how beautifully you analyze this stuff. There is no logic, there is no concept. The concept of assumption is pretty simple that we have debated on, that I've already explained you. There's no stuff. It's all about how beautifully, and just don't get frustrated by reading CR. I'll tell you anyway how should you be reading CR. But let me do this question. So what is the claim of utility company? That they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. And we are knowing very well that the energy they are talking is about wind and solar power. Now, if I negate option number C, weather patterns are not consistent and not predictable, then how can you provide a stable source of energy? Now, imagine if you go and put a solar plant in London, hardly in a year there are 3 months which sunlight comes in London. Hardly 3 months. What will be the use? How will a guy provide a stable source of energy through the solar power in London? Impossible. So if at all utility company claim that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their client, they know that weather patterns are consistent and predictable. 100% they should know this. If they don't know this, then they'll never be able to provide a stable source of energy to their client. So if I negate this statement, weather patterns are not consistent and not predictable, I straight away challenge my claim of the utility company. They are trying to say they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. But if we say that weather patterns are not consistent, not predictable, they won't be able to provide a stable source of energy, because they are talking about solar and wind power. In London, if you go and put a solar power, do you really feel the entire, it'll be a waste of money, your absolute waste of investment. Agreed? Now let's understand why other answers are wrong. That's again a very important thing, because just choosing a right answer is not the game. You have to play around with other options, understand why it is right, why it is wrong very properly. So let's say the public will embrace the development of wind and solar power. Now let's say public will not embrace the development. How can you 100% say this is not? Obviously, this is not the answer for sure, because the claim is something different. The utility company, the claim is of utility company. And what is the claim? Read the wordings very properly. Utility company claim that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. So please understand, they are only bothered about their clients. They are not bothered about anything else at all. You have to be 100% sure that they are only bothered about their clients. Am I right? So please understand, nothing else matters at this place. You might be thinking a lot of things. They are bothered about a lot of stuff, but in conclusion, it is written that utility company claim that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to their clients. It means they're bothered about their own clients. Now, public will not embrace, they don't bother about the other public, whether you embrace the development, you don't embrace the development. Utility company has nothing to bother about them at all. They are only bothered about their clients. If you're a client of utility company, they are bothered about you. They are not bothered about the normal public at all. Agreed? So this is gone. B says no deposit of gas and all too is not in the answer choice at all. Why? Because we are just bothered about solar and wind power. I don't think so we need to discuss CNE at all. If any one of you want to discuss CNE, because CNE talks about non-renewable sources, and my question is 100% on renewable sources, that is wind and solar power. So anyone who wants to discuss option number B and option number E, please tell me. Sakshi, you want to discuss?
No, I also like assumed the wrong conclusion, which is why I chose that answer, but it's good now.
Perfect. Option number D now. Tell me, why is option number D wrong? It says the necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is not more expensive. So how do you do it wrong? You do it wrong just because of one simple thing, that it is trying to challenge the fact. Don't get into extreme details. It is trying to challenge the fact, yes or no? Tell me this. What is fact says? That they require initial capital investment. This is what my fact is saying. Sources require these sources require initial significant initial capital. Significant, this is a strong word they have used over here. A lot needs, I'll play around with the wordings also in critical reasoning, but not today, or else you people will go mad, I'm sure. So let me not do it today. I'll do it in the next class for sure. Anyone, any doubt? Thanks for the class. I need to drop off. Okay, Vish. Okay, Vilash, please. So see here, it says that necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is not more expensive. And what do I see? The sources requires initial capital investment. What do you mean by this? It is trying to challenge the fact, straightforward. So this is wrong, and C is the right answer. Can I say this? So all you have to ensure that know a very subtle reason as to why your options are wrong. 100%. So let's do one thing, guys. Let's list all the questions. Question number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What we can do all the questions We have done till question number 3 right now. No? Question number 4 is a beautiful question, but I think you will go mad today. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what you need to do here is that do all the questions of assumptions again. Do all the remaining questions for the next class of assumptions. Agreed? And I'll also send you, I don't know, should I send you right now or not? Are you people interested in solving some extra questions of assumptions?
Yeah,
Do you
that'd
want me
be
to send?
Yes.
Rahul, actually,
Yes.
I did the pre-work stuff that you asked us to do. So I have some questions as well, and it'd be great if you can send some more.
I'll send it to you. I'll
Yeah.
send it to you. 100%, 100%. So what I'll do is now, do all the remaining questions of assumptions. I'll send you some good number of assumptions questions, but please understand how should you be doing it. So guys, there are somewhere around 85 or 80 questions of assumptions I have, but there are few. So out of, let's say you are doing 100 questions of CR and 5 question you could not do just because you didn't understand the argument. Now, please understand that's a place no one in the world can help us. So do not bother about the argument. Do not bother about the critical reasoning. But please understand, you can't say out of 100, you can't say more than 5 questions I didn't understand the argument, Rahul. That's a problem again. If you cannot understand the argument, let's say you have tried your best, you didn't understand the argument, just leave it. Don't worry about it at all. You should only bother about the stuff where you have understood the argument and you are getting the answers wrong. So the question that I'm sending you, do not, first of all, out of 80 questions, I would say 40 to 50 questions would be 100% good questions, means the thoughtful questions where you have to think a lot, but don't bother at all. Don't simply solve it one time. And how should you solve CR questions? I'll tell you. Now you are trying to solve critical reasoning question. There's a question number 1. Let's say you have answer A, B, C, D, E. You have marked answer C and the right answer is A. The C is wrong answer. So it's okay. You getting wrong is not a big deal. Even if you solve 10 questions, you get 9 questions initially wrong. It is not a big deal at all. It is absolutely acceptable, I'll tell you. Absolutely not a big deal. But the point is, now when you see the answer, and the right answer is A, C is the wrong answer. First of all, understand, the majority of the question that you'll be solving is of official guide, and you are no one supposed to challenge the answer. You be CEO, you be CTO, you be CXO. If you have got wrong, it is wrong. Kahani khatam. The story overs there. Do not try and think that why is C not the right answer. That should not be your thought process. Your thought process should be to understand why C is wrong. 100% try to focus a lot on that. Try to focus a lot on why option number A is right until you don't have one conclusive answer. Please, please, please do not read the solution. It should not happen that you have solved question number 1. You have got answer C and right answer is A. You go and read the explanation. That is absolutely not acceptable. If you read the explanation, it means your thought process is gone. And the way critical reasoning works, that if you read explanation once, that explanation will stick to you and you will not be able to think anything different, I can tell you. You won't be able to think anything different at all. So please ensure, do not at all read the explanation at the first place. You can only read the explanation when you have your own reasoning as to why is C wrong and why A is the right answer. This is something that must be followed. So I'll 100% send you a good number of assumption question, but please understand, in the next class, will also, because there is hardly 5 questions left. 3 questions, we have done 6 more questions. So we can't do 6 questions and close the class now. We'll have to do evaluate as well. So I'll send you the evaluate entire stuff as to what needs to be. We'll start evaluate, we'll not finish evaluate, please understand. But we will have to do, because we can't be stuck in just assumptions forever. So it's all gone. So your job would be, please simple, till Monday and till Tuesday. Let's say till Tuesday. Please make a note of it, guys. Till Tuesday. You can 100% till Tuesday. No, till Wednesday, because the class is on Sunday, right? Till Wednesday, only focus on assumptions. I'll send you the extra questions. You will have all the extra questions of assumptions with you today. Till Wednesday, only focus on assumptions. Only on assumptions. And now from Thursday on, now when I say you focus on assumptions, it means what you have to do. What are the remaining questions? Complete that. I'll send you the explanations. I don't care about it, but still we'll discuss in the class for sure. I'll send you the explanations of that. Please ensure, do not read directly, read the explanation. Your job is to 100% understand that first have your own reasoning before you get into the explanation. So till Wednesday, what you should be doing today, you finish the entire assumptions by yourself in the night. Tomorrow, you can start doing some extra questions of assumptions from the file that I have sent you till Wednesday. But from Thursday onward, you have to ensure that you will keep solving just 2 or 3 questions of assumptions on a daily basis. Because see, please understand, it's not that today you sit and solve 20 questions of assumptions and you will become very brilliant tomorrow. It doesn't work in that way, at least in verbal section. Math, everything is acceptable, everything. If you love percentage, you sit for 2 days, do as many questions of percentage and ratio, you may be very good. You may have a very good grasp of it. But in verbal, you cannot expect anything to change dramatically in 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. It will take some time. And that's the reason I'm telling you till from Thursday onwards, you are supposed to just do 2 or 3 questions. Don't bother at all. Just 2 or 3 questions, think a lot. But from Thursday onwards, start studying for evaluate also. So there are some very beautiful questions of assumptions that I'll send you in the extra handout file. Absolutely brilliant questions. But you should also start studying evaluate from Thursday. And the theory of evaluate is just of 2 pages. So don't worry, I'm not asking you to study 23 pages of assumption. The way you studied 23 pages of assumptions theories, it is not like that at all. So just do the theory of evaluate, and then I'll send you the handout of evaluate. Please do that as well, for sure. But yes, till Wednesday, you can solve as many questions of assumptions as you wish. But still, I'll tell you, in a day, don't solve more than 4 or 5 questions, please. 5 questions in one day is more than sufficient. So even if you solve 5 today, let's say complete the entire handout today. We'll discuss the handout in the class. From tomorrow onwards, 5 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Even if you solve 15 questions of assumptions properly, and if someone of you like to do, you do. All I'm trying to say, don't compromise on the quality of solving. Think till the last, spend half an hour, spend 1 hour, just think from every direction. And once you are done, once you are 100% satisfied, then again, you are free to go ahead and look into the solutions, look into the GMAT club, wherever you wish. That's not a problem at all, but ensure that do it very slowly. So this is one thing that I wanted to discuss. So I think the homeworks are very clear to you. It will not, so the homework that we send will look a very lot, like let's say maths extra questions, quant extra questions, what all you have to do, please understand. Exactly same thing till Tuesday or till Wednesday. Ensure that you solve complete percentage and ratio as much as you wish. From the extra question that has been given to you, ensure that you are very clear with the handout questions. From Wednesday, what you start doing, keep half an hour for extra question, that's all, of math. Half an hour for quant section of percentage and ratio. And rest 1 hour you dedicate to the next chapter, that is time and distance. So I'm assuming that 3 hours you'll be doing verbal, 3 hours of entire study, where 1.5 hour you will be doing quant, 1.5 hour on a daily basis you will be doing verbal. Some days, if you are very hectic, you can miss doing quant, but don't miss verbal at all, please. Verbal mein consistency is very important, or else all of you will come and abuse me after 2 weeks. Rahul, I'm not improving. There's no sort of improvement that you will feel in verbal. It takes its time. So you have to be very consistent with the verbal part. So till Tuesday, your job is to dedicate all this time to, till Wednesday in verbal, till Tuesday in quant. Your job is to dedicate all this to percentage ratio. Don't bother about, Rahul, so many homeworks are given. We don't expect you to do it everything in one day. No, that's there with you. Keep practicing. So till Tuesday in maths, do as many percentage ratio as you want. From Wednesday onward, just put half an hour to percentage and ratio. 1 hour should go to the next class that you are doing, that is time and distance, imagine. Just study the way it is written in the mail. And same thing with the verbal one. Till Wednesday, do as many assumptions as you wish, no issues at all. But from Thursday onward, keep half an hour to assumption, that's it. And 1 hour to evaluate, that you have to study, that the handout that I'll be doing. So I'll be sending you everything in a mail. But I hope it's very clear. So don't go mad about it, because so many things are given to us. How we'll be doing. I don't expect that you do everything on a weekly basis. The extra questions are something which you should keep doing half an hour on a daily basis. 2 or 3 questions, 3 or 4 questions the moment. Like let's say once time and distance is done, now you're coming to time and work, imagine. Or let's say you're coming to some chapter called mixtures. Then again, you are not expected that you do all you expected that in a day, 1 or 2 questions of extra questions from the previous chapter you can do. But your focus should be the next class also, remember. And you have any problem in going ahead as to how should I go ahead with it? How should I be studying? please give me a call. Don't do anything idle. Don't, any problem you have, you call me easily. Don't sit idle at all. Is that okay? I'm done for today. I think all of us are done. Let's meet in the next class. Any problem, please tell.
No problem.
Now can we
Rahul,
discuss
Yeah.
question?
yeah,
Sorry,
there
Apurva. Yeah, go.
are a couple questions as well. So I mean, and if anybody wants to drop out, they can. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions on the pre-work.
Sure.
Same here.
Perfect. Anyone who wants to drop can drop. I'll just stop the recording.